Dad's 70th birthday dinner at our family home in Connecticut. My brother Marcus stands champagne flute, raised his wife Brittany smirking beside him. "Pack your bags, loser. This house is going up for sale." The room erupts in cheers from my siblings. My father sits silent, his hands trembling. I feel the weight of 20 years of family secrets crushing my chest. I excuse myself to the garden, pull out my phone, and dial the number I've kept hidden for 15 years. "It's time," I whisper. The garden air felt thick as memories flooded back, each one heavier than the last. Growing up as the second child in the Morrison household meant living in Marcus's shadow. But that shadow grew darker after Mom died when I was 12. I remember that September afternoon when Dad called us into the living room. Sarah and James, the twins, were only 8. Baby Chloe had just turned 6. Mom had been fighting cancer for 2 years, and we thought she was winning. Dad's face told us otherwise before his words could. "Your mother went to heaven this morning," he said, his voice hollow. Marcus, 17 and already 6 feet tall, stood up immediately. "I'll handle things, Dad." And handle things he did in his own way. While Dad retreated into his grief, Marcus took charge of the family finances, the household decisions, and somehow convinced everyone this was natural, the oldest son stepping up. But I was the one who learned to cook Mom's recipes from her handwritten cards. I was the one who helped the twins with homework every night. I was the one who sang Chloe to sleep when nightmares woke her. Marcus was too busy being groomed for greatness. Dad poured everything into Marcus. Every dream, every dollar, every drop of faith. While I worked at the local grocery store after school to buy my siblings' school supplies, Marcus got a brand new car for his 18th birthday. While I studied for the SATs by candlelight because I didn't want to wait, Chloe Marcus partied at university on Dad's dime. Gillian's got it handled became the family motto. Gillian's got dinner covered. Gillian will help with that science project. Gillian will figure out how to pay for her own college. And I did. 3 jobs, countless sleepless nights, and a full scholarship to law school later, I made it out. But success came with a price. Every achievement felt like abandonment to my siblings. Every step forward in Manhattan was a step away from Connecticut. The breaking point came 6 months ago. I'd been reviewing Dad's financial statements, a habit I'd developed to ensure my siblings' college funds remained intact. The numbers didn't add up. Money was hemorrhaging from his retirement accounts in steady, calculated drips. 5 years of theft hidden behind complex transfers and financial jargon. Marcus had been bleeding Dad dry, one transaction at a time. I drove to Connecticut that night, spreadsheets and hand evidence meticulously organized. Dad was in his study grading papers from his high school history class. "Dad, we need to talk about Marcus." He looked up, already defensive. "What about him?" I laid out the evidence piece by piece. The unauthorized withdrawals, the forged signatures, the shell companies. Dad's face went through a spectrum of emotions before settling on one I didn't expect: resignation. "You don't understand, Gillian. He's trying to build something. He's stealing from you. He's my son. So am I, Sarah, James, and Chloe are your children too. What happens when there's nothing left?" Dad stood up, his full height still imposing at 69. "I won't have this conversation. Marcus is handling my affairs now. I signed power of attorney last month." The words hit like physical blows. "You did what?" "He said it would make things easier for tax purposes." I wanted to scream. Instead, I gathered my papers with shaking hands. "He's going to destroy you, Dad. And when he does, when there's nothing left, remember that I tried to warn you." I left that night thinking I'd lost my father to my brother's manipulation. Standing in this garden now, listening to the laughter from inside as my family toasted to selling our childhood home, I realized I'd underestimated how far Marcus would go. The irony wasn't lost on me. The golden child, the chosen one, the heir apparent had become a common thief. And the daughter who raised his siblings, who sacrificed her youth for this family, was now the loser who needed to pack her bags. But Marcus had made a crucial mistake. He'd assumed I'd spent the last 6 months wallowing in defeat. He didn't know about the long nights researching financial fraud. He didn't know about the consultations with federal prosecutors. He didn't know about the protection orders I'd quietly filed. Most importantly, he didn't know about Patricia. Our mother's younger sister had been a ghost in our family for 15 years. Her name was forbidden, her existence erased. I'd been told she was unstable, dangerous, someone who tried to destroy our family during Mom's illness. But teenage memories are unreliable, especially when filtered through grief and manipulation. I'd found Patricia 2 years ago not unstable, but successful. A forensic accountant with her own firm specializing in family fraud cases. The kind of expert who could unravel Marcus's web with surgical precision. Our first meeting had been awkward, sitting in her Boston office trying to bridge 15 years of silence. "I've been waiting for one of you to find me," she'd said, Mom's eyes looking back at me from her face. "Tell me why you left." "I didn't leave, Gillian. I was forced out. But that's a story for another day. Why are you here now?" "Marcus is stealing from Dad." Her laugh was bitter. "Of course he is." That meeting started a 2-year investigation. Patricia worked quietly, methodically, following money trails that led far beyond our family. What started as concern for Dad's retirement became something larger, darker. Marcus wasn't just stealing from our father. His financial advisory firm was a hunting ground, and his prey were the elderly and vulnerable. Tonight was supposed to be a celebration of Dad's 70th birthday. Instead, Marcus had turned it into an ambush. But he didn't know that every word, every threat, every moment of this betrayal was being recorded. He didn't know that federal agents were standing by, waiting for my signal. The call I just made to Patricia was simple. It's time. In 10 minutes, the real show would begin. Marcus thought he was conducting the family's destruction. He had no idea he was actually orchestrating his own downfall. I looked back at the house, at the windows glowing with warm light that had welcomed me home for 32 years. Mom's roses climbed the trellis beside me, blooming despite the late season. She'd planted them the year before she died, insisting they'd outlast her. She was right about that. She was right about so many things. Taking a deep breath, I walked back toward the house. The second act was about to begin, and this time I wasn't going to be the supporting character in Marcus's show. This time, the family protector was done playing defense. The dining room felt smaller when I returned, as if Marcus's announcement had somehow compressed the space. He stood at the head of the table, Dad's traditional spot, his phone held high like a trophy. "Look at this, everyone. Walsh Realty already has professional photos up. 3.2 million listing price. Can you believe it?" My siblings crowded around the screen. Brittany preened beside her husband, her manicured nails tapping against her champagne glass in a rhythm that felt practiced, rehearsed. I studied the listing over Sarah's shoulder. Our home looked foreign through the realtor's lens. Mom's garden was described as requiring updates for modern buyers. The library, where Dad spent 40 years grading papers, was labeled convertible bonus room. 4 decades of memories reduced to square footage and market value. The photographer came last week when Dad was at school. Marcus continued scrolling through images. Brittany supervised everything. She has such an eye for these things. Dad's hands shook as he reached for his water glass. When did I agree to this?" "Oh, Dad." Marcus's voice dripped condescension. "We discussed this last month. You said you were tired of the maintenance. Remember?" "I said the gutters needed cleaning." "Exactly. And the roof needs work and the furnace is ancient. This place is bleeding money." Chloe, still recovering from her divorce, gazed at the listing price with undisguised hunger. 3.2 million split 5 ways, that's $640,000 each. James supplied quickly. His musician's lifestyle had taught him to calculate money in his sleep. "Actually," Brittany interjected, examining her nails, "there are expenses to consider. Realtor fees, capital gains, outstanding debts against the property." "What debts?" I asked, my voice cutting through her calculations. Marcus's smile tightened. "Dad's been leveraging the house equity for years. Poor financial planning, really. If we don't sell now, we might lose everything." "That's strange." I said, pulling out my own phone. Because I checked the county records last week. The house has been paid off since 1998. You checked? Marcus's face darkened. You've been snooping. I've been protecting our father's interests, something his power of attorney should be doing. Sarah shifted uncomfortably beside me. She'd been working at Connecticut Savings and Loan for 5 years, close enough to the family finances to know things weren't right, but far enough removed to claim ignorance. Speaking of protecting interests, I continued, Sarah, did you help Marcus access Dad's accounts? My sister's face went white. The champagne glass slipped from her fingers, shattering on Mom's hardwood floor. The sound echoed like an accusation. He said he needed the routing numbers for investments. He said it was for Dad's retirement portfolio. What retirement portfolio? Dad's voice grew stronger, confusion giving way to anger. Marcus moved quickly, pulling papers from his jacket. Dad's confused. It happens at his age. Sarah was just helping with routine banking. Routine banking that required override codes. I pressed. Access to accounts that weren't yours. Sarah began to cry. Not the gentle tears of regret, but the ugly sobs of someone realizing they'd been played. He said Dad was getting forgetful. He said we needed to protect the money before what? James demanded. Before Dad died. Were you planning his funeral while he's still breathing? Don't be dramatic, Brittany snapped. We're trying to preserve family wealth. This house is the only valuable asset left. Really? I pulled up property records on my phone. What about the rental property in Hartford? The one Marcus sold last year without telling anyone. Dad's sharp intake of breath filled the sudden silence. Or the bonds Grandma left us, I continued. The ones that mysteriously matured early. You're making things up, Marcus said, but sweat beaded on his forehead despite the cool October evening. Am I? Should we discuss the Westfield account, the one you opened with Dad's Social Security number? Brittany's practiced calm finally cracked. You can't prove anything. Financial planning within families is perfectly legal. We've been careful. She stopped, realizing her mistake. The room held its breath. Careful about what Chloe asked her post-divorce radar for deception finally activating. Marcus tried to salvage the moment. Brittany means we've been careful with Dad's money, making sure it's invested properly. In your restaurant, I said quietly. The one that failed after 3 months. The silence stretched until Dad finally spoke. What restaurant? Blue Harbor, I supplied. The seafood place in Westport, Marcus and Brittany's venture that opened in March and closed in June. Interesting timing considering that's exactly when large withdrawals started appearing from your accounts. How do you know about that? Marcus demanded. The same way I know about the Ferrari you leased last month, or the yacht club membership, or Brittany's shopping sprees at Bergdorf's. I let each revelation land like a punch. My siblings' faces showed a progression of understanding puzzle pieces, clicking into place. You've been spying on us, Brittany accused. I've been documenting theft. There's a difference. Marcus slammed his hand on the table, making the china jump. Enough, I have power of attorney. What I do with Dad's money is my business. Power of attorney doesn't authorize theft, I said calmly. It creates a fiduciary duty. You're supposed to act in Dad's best interests, not fund your lifestyle. You always were jealous, Marcus snarled. Poor little Gillian, working so hard, sacrificing so much. You think being a martyr makes you special? I think being honest makes me different from you. Honest, you abandoned this family the second you could, running off to Manhattan to play lawyer while we dealt with Dad's decline. What decline? Dad stood slowly, age falling away as anger strengthened his spine. I'm standing right here, Marcus. I can speak for myself. Sit down, Dad. You're confused. I'm not confused about my house being sold without my permission. I'm not confused about money disappearing from accounts I trusted you with. Marcus's mask finally slipped completely. The golden boy facade cracked, revealing something desperate and mean underneath. Fine. You want honesty? This house is already gone. I've taken deposits. Contracts are being drawn up. You can cooperate and get something out of it, or I can have you declared incompetent and take everything anyway." Sarah gasped. James stood abruptly, knocking over his chair. Chloe pressed herself against the wall as if trying to disappear. But I smiled, because Marcus had just confessed to fraud conspiracy and elder abuse in front of 5 witnesses, with federal agents listening to every word through the wire I wore. "Interesting legal theory," I said. "Want to know mine?" Before he could answer, I stood and walked to the window, looking out at the garden where I'd made my call. "My theory is that in about 30 seconds, you're going to hear cars pulling up outside. You're going to see federal agents walking up the driveway, and your carefully planned birthday ambush is going to become something else entirely." "You're bluffing," Brittany said, but her voice wavered. "Am I tell me when you had professional photos taken of the house, did you happen to notice the new security cameras I had installed, the ones that caught you breaking into Dad's safe last Tuesday?" Brittany went pale beneath her makeup. "Or maybe we should discuss why Sarah suddenly started accessing Dad's account 6 months ago, right after Marcus promised to pay off her student loans." Sarah sobbed harder. "He said he'd help me. He said family takes care of family." "Family doesn't steal from family," Dad said quietly. "Family doesn't sell childhood homes for yacht club memberships." The sound of car engines grew louder, multiple vehicles approaching fast. Marcus grabbed Brittany's arm. "We're leaving." "I wouldn't," I said conversationally. "The exits are probably already covered." Through the window, black SUVs appeared in the driveway. Doors opened and figures in FBI windbreakers emerged. "What did you do?" Marcus whispered. "I made a phone call," I replied, "just like you suggested, though probably not the kind you expected." The doorbell rang its cheerful chime, absurdly normal in the chaos. Everyone froze, staring at the door as if it might explode. "Should I get that?" I asked. "Or would you prefer to answer it yourself, Marcus? After all, you're the man of the house now, right?" The bell rang again, followed by firm knocking. "Federal agents, open the door." Brittany let out a sound between a laugh and a scream. Marcus stood paralyzed, his grand plan crumbling around him like the house of cards it had always been. I walked past them to the door, pausing to squeeze Dad's shoulder. He covered my hand with his, and for the first time in months, I saw pride in his eyes. "Time to face the music," I said, reaching for the door handle. "Happy birthday, Dad!" The knocking grew insistent. Behind me, my family held its collective breath. The golden child's crown was about to shatter, and everyone in the room knew it. I opened the door. Federal agents flooded our dining room with practiced efficiency, their presence transforming the birthday celebration into something from a crime drama. I recognized Agent Harrison from our previous meetings, his gray hair and kind eyes offering a strange comfort in the chaos. "Everyone please remain seated," he announced, though Marcus and Brittany had already backed against the wall. "We have warrants." Marcus tried to summon his usual bravado. "This is harassment. I want our lawyer." "By all means," Harrison replied. "You'll need one." While agents began documenting the scene, Marcus shifted tactics. He moved to the living room, calling out to the rest of us. "Family meeting, now." Old habits die hard. Despite everything my siblings followed, even Dad, supported by James, made his way to Mom's antique sofa. I remained standing by the doorway, Agent Harrison beside me. "You're still family, Gillian," Marcus said. "Come sit." "I'm fine here." His jaw clenched, but he pressed on, producing a manila folder from his briefcase. "Since everyone seems confused about Dad's situation, let me clarify things." He spread papers across the coffee table with the showmanship of a carnival dealer. Medical reports, financial statements, photographs. Dr. Brennan's evaluation from August. Dad's been showing signs of dementia for 2 years. "That's not..." Dad started, but Marcus continued. "Forgot to pay property taxes, twice. Left the stove on. Got lost driving to the grocery store he's shopped at for 30 years. Each accusation landed like a slap. I saw doubt creeping into my siblings' eyes. "The medications he's been hiding." Marcus pulled out pharmacy receipts, Alzheimer's drugs, memory enhancers. For mild cognitive impairment, Dad protested, normal aging. Is that what you call signing contracts with door-to-door scammers, giving money to every sob story that calls? Brittany seamlessly joined the performance, producing her own evidence. We've been protecting him. Last month, he almost wired $50,000 to a fake charity. Because you told me to, Dad's voice cracked. You said it was for veterans. See, Marcus appealed to our siblings. He can't remember what's real anymore. Sarah wiped her tears, looking between Dad and Marcus. The bank did flag some unusual transactions. Exactly. And Gillian wants to pretend everything's fine while Dad loses everything to scams and confusion. James, ever the peacemaker, tried to find middle ground. Maybe we could discuss options that don't involve selling the house. With what money? Marcus snapped. Do you know what memory care facilities cost $30,000 a month? More for decent ones. We could take care of him here, Chloe suggested weakly. Brittany laughed. You can barely take care of yourself after that pathetic divorce. Chloe flinched as if slapped. That's not... Your ex-husband certainly thought so. What was it he said in court? Emotionally unstable, financially irresponsible. I watch Marcus's strategy unfold. Divide and conquer. Make everyone feel small, incapable, dependent on his leadership. The house sale will provide for everyone. He continued, shifting to promises. Sarah, your student loan's gone. James, that recording studio you've always wanted. Chloe, a fresh start away from the gossip. Blood money, I said quietly. Survival money, Marcus countered. Dad's going to need care. The house is just walls and memories. Mom's memories, James said softly. Mom's dead. Marcus's mask slipped again. She's been dead for 20 years. This shrine won't bring her back. But stealing from Dad honors her, I asked. I'm not stealing. I'm liquidating assets before it's too late. Too late for what? Brittany answered, her voice honeyed poison. Before certain financial irregularities come to light. Did you know your father has been claiming tax deductions for charitable contributions? He never made filing errors that could be seen as fraud. Errors you created, I said. Prove it, she challenged. I don't have to. The FBI will. Marcus laughed, the sound sharp and ugly. The FBI doesn't care about family disputes. This is all Theater Gillian's dramatic gesture. Agent Harrison cleared his throat. Actually, Mr. Morrison, we care very much about elder financial abuse, especially when it crosses state lines and involves multiple victims. The room stilled. Multiple victims, Sarah whispered. Marcus's confident facade cracked. I don't know what you're talking about. Then let me refresh your memory, Harrison continued. Eleanor Chen, 82, lost her life savings to fraudulent investments. Robert Kim, 78, his retirement fund emptied through unauthorized transfers. Those are clients who made poor investment choices, Marcus insisted. Market volatility. Margaret Lee, 91. Harrison continued. Convinced to sign power of attorney 3 days before her death, her entire estate liquidated within hours. Each name hit like a hammer blow. I watched my siblings' faces change as they realized the scope of Marcus's crimes. You said you were helping them, James breathed. You said you were protecting their assets. I was building a business, Marcus exploded. Taking calculated risks. Sometimes investments don't pan out. Stealing isn't investing. Dad said, his voice stronger than it had been all evening. Your mother would be ashamed. Don't you dare, Marcus turned on him. You want to talk about shame? Let's talk about why Mom really died. The temperature in the room plummeted. Marcus. Brittany warned, but desperation had taken hold. Let's talk about the affair, the one that drove her to... Stop, I commanded, but Marcus was beyond stopping. She killed herself. Mom didn't die from cancer. She took pills because she couldn't stand what this family had become. Sarah gasped. James went white. Chloe covered her face. That's enough. Agent Harrison stepped forward, but the damage was done. Is it true? Sarah asked Dad, her voice small and broken. Dad aged 10 years in that moment. It's complicated. It's simple, Marcus sneered. He cheated. She found out. She chose death over divorce, and we've been pretending ever since. You're lying, James said, but uncertainty colored his words. I asked Gillian. She found the note. All eyes turned to me. My carefully constructed plan hadn't accounted for this nuclear option. There was a note, I admitted slowly, but Marcus is twisting the truth. The truth is that this family is built on lies, Marcus declared. Dad's affair, Mom's suicide, Gillian's abandonment, my survival. At least I'm honest about taking what I need. Honest. I pulled out my phone, accessing recorded conversations. Should we listen to your definition of honesty? Marcus's voice filled the room from a recording. The old man won't last another year. Once he's in a home, we can sell everything. The siblings are idiots. They'll believe whatever I tell them. You recorded me. He lunged forward, but agents restrained him. You recorded yourself, I corrected. Every phone call to your office, every meeting in the conference room. Your security system is very thorough. Brittany went pale. Those recordings are illegal, inadmissible. In criminal court, maybe. But this isn't court. This is a family meeting. Right time for honesty. I played another clip. Brittany's voice this time. Sarah Morrison is perfect. Desperate enough to help dumb enough to take the fall if necessary. Sarah's sob echoed through the room. Another clip. Marcus laughing. James still thinks I'm trying to help his career. He doesn't know I'm the one who told venue owners he's an addict. James stood abruptly, rage replacing his usual calm. One more. Brittany again. Chloe's ex was easy to manipulate. A few suggestions during mediation and she got nothing. More motivation to support the house sale. Chloe's face transformed from hurt to fury. Enough games, Agent Harrison announced. Mr. Morrison, Mrs. Morrison, you're under arrest for wire fraud, elder abuse, and conspiracy. Wait, Marcus struggled against the agents. The house sale, the contracts. All void, I informed him. Contracts signed under fraudulent pretenses have no legal standing. You planned this, he accused. You set me up. You set yourself up. I just made sure there were witnesses. As agents led them toward the door, Brittany played her last card. She pulled out her phone showing a video. Fine, but if we're going down, everyone should know the truth about their perfect sister. The video showed me in a parking garage handing documents to a man in shadows. Your precious Gillian has been selling family secrets to competitors. That's how she afforded law school. That's why she really left. That's Patricia's husband, I said calmly. I was giving him evidence of Marcus's embezzlement 2 years ago, but nice try. Brittany's face crumbled. Even her last weapon was useless. $300,000, she blurted as agents cuffed her. We took $300,000 from the restaurant investors. It's hidden in offshore accounts. I'll testify. I'll tell you everything. Shut up, Marcus roared, but fear had loosened her tongue. He has files on all of you. Blackmail material. He was going to use it if you didn't agree to the sale. Where? Harrison demanded. Safe deposit box, Connecticut Savings, box 517. The agents exchanged glances. This was more than they'd expected. Get them out of here, Harrison ordered. As Marcus and Brittany were led away, my brother turned back one last time. You destroyed this family, Gillian. You think you won, but you destroyed us. No. Dad spoke, standing on his own for the first time all evening. You destroyed yourself, son. Greed destroyed you. But this family, we're still here. The door closed behind them. The silence that followed felt like the aftermath of an explosion. My siblings sat in the wreckage of everything they'd believed, staring at me with expressions I couldn't quite read. The golden child was gone, but I wasn't sure what remained. Outside, cars pulled away, taking Marcus and his carefully constructed lies with them. Inside, for the first time in 20 years, the Morrison family faced the truth without him. The real family meeting was about to begin. The doorbell rang again, cutting through our shell-shocked silence. Everyone flinched still raw from the federal agent's departure. I moved to answer it, knowing who waited outside. Patricia stood on the threshold, 15 years older, but unmistakably Mom's sister. Her professional suit couldn't hide the nervous energy that had always defined her. Behind her stood 2 associates carrying banker's boxes. "Hello, Gillian," she said softly. "Aunt Patricia." Sarah's voice cracked from behind me. "But you're supposed to be crazy, dangerous, dead." Patricia stepped inside her eyes, taking in the family she'd been barred from for so long. "I've been called all 3. Dad struggled to his feet, his face cycling through emotions I couldn't name. "Patricia, you shouldn't be here." 15 years too late for that order, Thomas. "I'm here because Gillian asked me to come, because your family needs the truth." "We've had enough truth for one night," James said weakly. "No," Patricia countered. "You've had Marcus's version of truth, carefully edited, strategically poisoned." She moved into the living room with the confidence of someone who'd spent 2 years preparing for this moment. Her associates set down their boxes documents, visible through the lids. "I'm a forensic accountant now," she announced. "Ironic considering Marcus accused me of trying to steal from your mother's estate when she died." "You did try," Dad insisted, but his voice lacked conviction. "I tried to execute her will properly, the one Marcus destroyed." The room tilted, another revelation threatening to capsize us completely. "Mom only had one will," Chloe said. "Everything to Dad. We all knew that." Patricia opened the first box, withdrawing a manila envelope marked with Mom's handwriting. "Your mother wrote a second will 3 weeks before she died. I have the original." She handed it to me. Mom's familiar script swam before my eyes as I read aloud. "To my beloved sister Patricia, I entrust the financial protection of my children. Establish trusts for each, ensure their education, guard them from those who would exploit their grief." My voice broke. I passed the will to Sarah, who read the next section. "To Thomas, my husband, I leave forgiveness and the hope that truth will eventually heal our family. The house remains his until our youngest graduates college, then passes equally to all 5 children." "She knew she was going to die," James whispered. "This isn't the will of someone fighting cancer." "No," Patricia confirmed. "It's the will of someone who'd made a decision." Dad sank into his chair. "How long have you known?" "I suspected when she called me that last night. She was too calm, too organized, making sure I understood her wishes." "What else?" I asked, though I dreaded the answer. Patricia pulled out a laptop, connecting it to our television. Financial records filled the screen. 2 years ago, Gillian contacted me about Marcus's theft. What I found went deeper than family money. She clicked through presentations. Morrison Financial Advisory, 23 clients over 5 years, combined losses of $8.7 million. $8 million, Sarah gasped. "Your brother wasn't just stealing. He was running a sophisticated Ponzi scheme, taking new client investments to pay old ones, targeting elderly victims through Dad's community connections." "I didn't know," Dad protested. He used your reputation," Patricia confirmed. "Retired teacher pillar of the community. People trusted him because they trusted you." Each slide revealed another victim. Names, faces, stories of retirement dreams destroyed. "Eleanor Chen taught with you for 30 years, Patricia noted. "She invested her husband's life insurance payout. It's gone." "Robert Kim's grandchildren can't afford college now. Margaret Lee died thinking she'd secured her family's future." "Stop," Dad begged, but Patricia continued relentlessly. "You all need to understand what Gillian prevented tonight. This wasn't about one house or one family's money. The FBI has been building a case for 2 years." She showed surveillance photos, Marcus meeting with known criminals, Brittany transferring funds to offshore accounts, documentation of money laundering, tax evasion, wire fraud. "Your brother was 3 weeks away from fleeing the country. The house sale was his exit strategy. Quick cash to disappear before authorities closed in. How did Gillian know? Chloe asked. Because she's been working with me and the FBI for 24 months, Patricia replied, wearing wires to family dinners, documenting every conversation, building an airtight case while pretending everything was normal. Everyone turned to stare at me. I felt like a specimen under glass, exposed and vulnerable. You've been lying to us, Sarah accused. All this time, I've been protecting you. There's a difference. Is there, you let me help Marcus access Dad's accounts. You knew I was committing crimes. I knew you were being manipulated. The FBI agreed to immunity for family members who cooperated. Immunity. James stood abruptly. We needed immunity. Patricia intervened. Anyone who helped Marcus knowingly or not was potentially liable. Gillian negotiated protection for all of you. In exchange for what? Dad asked quietly. In exchange for taking down Marcus completely. No deals, no reduced sentences, full prosecution. The weight of my decision settled over the room. I'd chosen justice over my brother-in-law over blood. He's still family. Dad said, grief aging his features. He stopped being family when he stole from the elderly, I replied. When he destroyed lives for yacht club memberships. You don't understand, Dad shook his head. The pressure I put on him, the expectations. After your mother, don't, Patricia commanded. Don't you dare excuse this. Marcus chose his path. She pulled out another document, this one in a plastic evidence sleeve. Want to know why I was really banished 15 years ago? This is a letter Marcus wrote forging your mother's signature, accusing me of mental instability, threatening legal action if I didn't disappear. She showed it to Dad. His face crumbled as he recognized the forgery. He was 17, Patricia continued, already planning, already manipulating. He needed me gone because I knew about the affair. What affair? Sarah demanded. Marcus said Dad cheated. Thomas didn't cheat, Patricia said firmly, but someone was having an affair. Marcus's biological father, Richard Brennan. The name hung in the air like a bomb. Dr. Brennan, James choked. Our family doctor. Mom's best friend's husband, Patricia confirmed. Marcus found out at 16. Richard paid him to keep quiet, monthly payments that funded his lifestyle, hush money that became seed money for his crimes. I watched my siblings process this reversal. Everything Marcus had said, every accusation had been projection. Mom found out about the payments, Patricia continued. Not about an affair, but about her son being corrupted by blood money. The shame broke her. She tried to protect us, I said quietly, even at the end. Especially at the end, Patricia turned to me. She knew you'd be strong enough to do what needed to be done. That's why she left you the piano. The piano? Chloe asked. Check the bench, under the lining. I moved to Mom's piano untouched for years. My fingers found the hidden seam Patricia described. Inside, wrapped in plastic, were more documents. She documented everything, Patricia explained. Richard's payments, Marcus's early manipulations, her fears for the family. She knew someday someone would need proof. Why didn't she stop it? Sarah cried. She tried. The cancer was real, but it was also convenient. Marcus had already started turning the family against anyone who questioned him. Including you, Dad said heavily. Including me. But Gillian found me, and together we found justice. A car door slammed outside. Through the window, I saw Agent Harrison returning. There's more, Patricia warned. Brittany wasn't just Marcus's wife. She was Richard Brennan's niece. This whole thing was a family operation. They played us for decades, James said numbly. Until tonight. Patricia moved to the door. Agent Harrison needs to debrief you all, but first... She looked at each of us, Mom's eyes in her face. Your mother loved you. Every choice she made, even the final one, was about protecting her children. Don't let Marcus's poison make you doubt that. She opened the door for Harrison, who entered with a team of investigators. "We found the safe deposit box," he announced. "The evidence inside corroborates everything. We also found something else." He produced an evidence bag containing a small recorder. Brittany was taping everything. Every conversation with Marcus for 3 years. She was building her own insurance policy. She knew this day would come, I realized. "Criminals always turn on each other," Harrison confirmed. "We have enough to put them both away for 20 years, maybe more." "What happens now?" Dad asked. "Now we document everything, take statements, build an airtight case." He looked at me. "Ms. Morrison's cooperation has been invaluable. Her testimony will be crucial." "She betrayed her brother," Sarah said, but the accusation lacked heat. "She saved her family," Patricia countered, "and dozens of other victims." As Harrison's team set up in our dining room, turning our home into a crime scene, I felt the weight of 2 years lifting. The secrets were out, the lies exposed, the golden child revealed as fool's gold. But looking at my family's faces, I wondered if truth was really the gift I'd believed it to be. Sometimes the lies we tell ourselves are all that hold us together. Patricia squeezed my shoulder. "You did the right thing." "Did I?" "Your mother would be proud. You protected them even when it meant becoming the villain." Through the window, I watched a news van pull up. Someone had leaked the story. By morning, our family tragedy would be public entertainment. But tonight, in this house full of ghosts and government agents, we were still just the Morrisons. Broken, betrayed, but finally free from the golden child's shadow. The real work of rebuilding would begin tomorrow. Tonight, we just had to survive the truth. Patricia commanded the room with an authority that transformed her from the banished aunt into our salvation. She opened her laptop again, fingers dancing across keys with practiced precision. "Before Agent Harrison begins taking statements, you all need to understand the full scope of what we've uncovered." She pulled up a complex web of financial transactions. This started 23 years ago. 23. Dad calculated quickly. That's before Marcus graduated high school. Richard Brennan didn't just pay Marcus hush money, Patricia explained. He groomed him, taught him how to hide money, create false documents, exploit trust. By the time your son was 18, he was already running small scams at school. She showed us a faded newspaper clipping. Senior class treasury funds mysteriously depleted. No charges filed because the money was anonymously returned after graduation. "I remember that," James said slowly. "Marcus led the investigation." "Classic move. Control the investigation of your own crime." Patricia clicked to another document. But Richard made a crucial mistake. He kept records. The screen filled with bank statements, ledgers, photographs, 2 decades of evidence meticulously cataloged. "Where did you get these?" Dad demanded. "Richard died 6 months ago. Lung cancer. On his deathbed, he called me." The room stilled. Even the federal agents paused their work. He knew I'd been exiled because of what I'd discovered. He wanted to confess before he died, clear his conscience by destroying lives one last time. She played an audio recording. Richard's voice, weak but unmistakable, filled our childhood home. "I corrupted that boy, fed his worst instincts. His mother suspected a sweet woman too good for all of us. When she confronted me, I convinced Marcus to help discredit her. Told him she was having delusions from the cancer medication." Mom's truth finally spoken by the man who helped bury it. "I have everything," Patricia continued. "Every payment, every lesson in fraud, every person Richard and Marcus destroyed together." "Brittany knew," Chloe asked. "Brittany was Plan B. When Richard got sick, he worried Marcus might abandon their arrangement, so he brought in his niece, promised her a cut of the Morrison fortune if she kept Marcus in line. Their marriage was a business merger, I realized." "Exactly. But Brittany got greedy, or smart. She started recording everything 3 years ago, building leverage for when things went bad." Agent Harrison stepped forward. This changes our case significantly. We're not just looking at financial crimes anymore. This is organized crime, racketeering, conspiracy spanning decades. How many victims? Sarah asked quietly. Patricia pulled up a spreadsheet. Names filled the screen, scrolling endlessly. 47 elderly clients through the financial advisory firm, 12 family friends who trusted Dad's recommendation, 6 charities that received nothing after fundraisers, 3 small businesses destroyed by fraudulent loans. Each category expanded into individual stories. Faces appeared next to names. Real people, real losses. Mrs. Patterson from church. Dad recognized a photo. She mentioned money troubles last month. Lost her entire savings, too ashamed to tell anyone. Patricia's voice hardened. Living on cat food because she can't afford groceries. We have to help them, James insisted. We will, I assured him. The FBI's asset forfeiture will recover some funds. Insurance bonds will cover more. But most importantly, Marcus and Brittany have hidden accounts we're tracing. How much did they take in total? Chloe asked. Patricia looked at me before answering. 12.3 million that we've documented so far. The number sucked oxygen from the room. 12 million. Sarah's voice climbed octaves. How did no one notice? Because Marcus was careful. Small amounts from many sources, never enough to trigger automatic reviews, and he had help. She pulled up employment records. Every teller he befriended, every accountant he compromised, every official he bribed. Your brother built a network. My son, Dad corrected quietly. My son built this. Your son was a predator, Patricia said firmly. And predators rely on family loyalty to protect them. That's why I was removed, why your wife felt trapped, why Gillian had to work in secret. She turned to me. Show them the rest. I hadn't wanted this part revealed, but truth demanded completion. I pulled out my phone, accessing secured files. 6 months ago, Marcus tried to have me killed. The statement landed like a grenade. My siblings recoiled. Dad's face went gray. What? Sarah gasped. He discovered I was investigating him, hired someone to arrange an accident, make it look random. I showed them police reports, security footage of a car trying to run me down, hospital records from the aftermath. You never told us you were hurt, Chloe accused. Bruised ribs and a concussion. I told you I had the flu. He tried to murder you. James looked sick. He tried to protect his empire. I was a threat. But you're his sister. Dad's voice broke. That stopped mattering years ago. I pulled up text messages. He hired the same person to watch all of you. Sarah, he has photos of you at grief counseling after Mom's death. James, recordings of you at AA meetings. Chloe, documentation of every fight with your ex-husband. He surveilled us. Sarah wrapped her arms around herself. Information is power. He needed leverage in case any of you questioned him. The safe deposit box, Harrison interjected. We found files on each family member, enough to ensure silence. Or compliance, Patricia added. Tonight's forced house sale was just the beginning. If that failed, he had backup plans for each of you. She showed us documents from the box, forged papers suggesting Sarah embezzled from her bank, fake evidence of James dealing drugs, manufactured proof of Chloe's mental instability. He would have destroyed us, Chloe whispered. He was destroying you already, I said, just slowly enough that you'd blame yourselves. Why, Dad's single word carried 20 years of anguish. Patricia answered with another recording, Marcus's voice captured by Brittany's hidden microphone. Family is weakness. Love is leverage. Dad taught me that when he chose his precious Gillian to raise the brats while funding my dreams. He showed me that blood means nothing compared to money. I never chose, Dad protested. Marcus's recorded voice continued. Every dollar he spent on me was proof. I was worth investing in. They were just obligations, burdens, expenses. Turn it off, Sarah begged. But the recording played on. Once I have the house money, I'll disappear. Let them all rot. Dad can die wondering where his golden boy went. The others can fight over scraps. Patricia finally stopped the playback. That was recorded last week, the night before he announced the house sale. He planned to abandon us, James said numbly. After destroying your futures and stealing your inheritance, Patricia confirmed. But Gillian prevented that. All eyes turned to me again. The weight of their attention felt heavier than 2 years of secret investigation. I couldn't let him win, I said simply. So you let me help him. Sarah's tears returned. Knowing I was committing crimes, I made sure every illegal act you performed was documented as coercion. You were never in real danger of prosecution. But I was in danger of losing my job, a reputation. Better than losing your life savings, or your freedom, or your life. The last word hung between us. Sarah's anger deflated as she absorbed the implication. He really would have killed you, she said. He tried. When that failed, he moved up the timeline. Tonight's ambush was desperation disguised as celebration. Agent Harrison's phone buzzed. He stepped away to answer, his face growing grim. "We have a problem," he announced. "Marcus made bail." What? I shot to my feet. How is that possible? A judge sympathetic to his lawyer's argument about family disputes. $2 million cash bond posted an hour ago. Where did he get $2 million? Patricia demanded. Brittany's family. Seems the Brennan clan protects its own. Fear sliced through me. Marcus out of custody changed everything. He'll run, I predicted. We have his passport, Harrison assured us. He has others. Richard would have taught him that. Then we'll monitor. Harrison's phone rang again. He listened briefly, then cursed. He's already gone. Slipped his ankle monitor and disappeared. What about Brittany? Patricia asked. Still in custody. Her family only posted bail for Marcus. So much for criminal loyalty, James muttered. He'll come here, Dad said with certainty. He'll come for revenge. We have protection, Harrison assured us. Units are already en route. But I knew my brother. His pride wouldn't allow retreat without retaliation. The golden child had fallen, and he'd make sure we all paid for witnessing it. Everyone stays here tonight, I decided, together, safe. Since when do you make decisions for this family? Sarah challenged, but fear undermined her defiance. Since I became the only one standing between Marcus and complete destruction, I replied. Through the window, I saw federal vehicles arriving, officers taking positions, our childhood home transforming into a fortress. Patricia closed her laptop. There's one more thing, something I didn't want to reveal unless necessary. We waited, dreading another revelation. Your mother left something else in my protection, something Marcus has been searching for since her death. She produced a small key from her pocket. What does it open? Chloe asked. A safety deposit box in Boston, one Marcus never knew existed. Inside is enough evidence to destroy the entire Brennan network. Not just Richard and Marcus, but every corrupt contact they've cultivated over 2 decades. Mom knew, I breathed. She suspected. She investigated. She protected. Even while dying, she was trying to save you all. The key gleamed in Patricia's palm like a promise, or a threat. That's why he'll come back, I realized. Not just for revenge, for survival. If that evidence surfaces, everyone he's partnered with will want him dead, Patricia finished. We sat with that knowledge as federal agents fortified our defenses. Somewhere in the night, my brother was planning his return. The golden child had nothing left to lose. And that made him more dangerous than ever. Federal agents transformed our dining room into a command center while we huddled in the living room like refugees in our own home. Agent Harrison coordinated with local police through crackling radios, while Patricia worked her laptop, hunting electronic footprints Marcus might have left. I need to see Dad's study, Harrison announced. Any documents Marcus might want to retrieve. Dad led him upstairs, moving like he'd aged a decade in one night. The rest of us remained frozen, processing revelations that kept multiplying like cancer cells. Sarah broke first. I helped him. God, I actually helped him steal. He manipulated you, I said. Stop defending me. She whirled on me, eyes wild. You know what I did at the bank? I didn't just give him routing numbers. I altered security protocols, changed password requirements, disabled alerts. Sarah, James reached for her, but she pulled away. 6 months of crimes, 63 unauthorized accesses. Every time promising myself it was the last. Every time believing his lies about protecting Dad. She pulled out her phone, showing us text messages. Marcus's words dripped manipulation. See how he played me? Dad's getting worse. We need to act before he loses everything. You're the only one I trust. I fell for every single line. We all did, James admitted. You want to hear about failure? Let me tell you about my music career. He laughed bitterly. 5 years ago, I had a meeting with Blue Note Records, my dream label, the meeting that would change everything, except I never made it. Your car broke down, Chloe remembered. My car was sabotaged. Marcus confirmed it tonight on those recordings. He loosened the brake lines. Could have killed me, but he calculated exactly how much damage to strand me without real harm. Why I asked, though I suspected. Because the A&R guy was Richard Brennan's cousin. The meeting was a setup. They planned to sign me to a predatory contract, lock me into debt disguised as an advance. When I missed the meeting, they blacklisted me instead. But Marcus said he was helping your career, Sarah protested. Marcus was harvesting my desperation. Every failed gig, every rejected demo, every door that mysteriously closed. He orchestrated it all, then offered loans to keep me afloat. How much do you owe him? Patricia asked gently. $140,000, with interest rates that would make loan sharks blush. Chloe's laugh was hollow. At least your debt is simple. Want to know what Marcus did to my marriage? She didn't wait for encouragement. Brad and I had problems, sure, but we were working through them. Counseling was helping, until our therapist suddenly recommended divorce. Dr. Winters, I remembered. You loved her. Dr. Winters received a $50,000 donation to her clinic from an anonymous benefactor. Want to guess who? Patricia's fingers flew across her keyboard. Morrison Financial Advisory made a charitable contribution to Winters Wellness Center. Tax records confirm it. But that's not the best part, Chloe continued. Marcus recommended Brad's divorce lawyer, told him I was hiding assets, suggested forensic accounting, even provided an expert witness who testified I was mentally unstable. The expert, who was Richard Brennan's golf buddy, Patricia, added pulling up connections on her screen. Brad got everything. The house, the savings, even my grandmother's jewelry, and Marcus was there to comfort me, offer me a loan, suggest I move back home where family could take care of me. He destroyed your marriage to make you dependent, I said. He destroyed my life to make me grateful, she corrected. And it worked. I actually thanked him for helping. Dad returned with Harrison carrying boxes of documents. His face was stone. He's been in my study recently. My personal files are disturbed. Financial records missing. What records? Patricia asked. Your mother's life insurance policies, investment accounts I never knew existed, papers she apparently hid from everyone. Including you, Sarah asked. Dad's silence was answer enough. Harrison's team spread documents across our coffee table. The paper trail of Marcus's deceptions covered every surface. This goes back further than we thought, Harrison muttered. Some of these incorporation documents are from when he was 16. 16. I examined the papers. He was establishing shell companies in high school. Richard's training, Patricia confirmed. Look at the signatures, forgeries but sophisticated ones. Each document revealed another layer of betrayal, fake charities, ghost employees, investment funds that existed only on paper, a financial house of cards built on our family's foundation. Here, James pointed to a familiar name, Morrison Music Ventures. He told me he was investing in recording studios for young artists. Patricia traced the money. Funds went straight to offshore accounts. The studios never existed. What about this? Sarah found another document. Morrison Senior Care Services. Marketed to Dad's teacher friends, I realized. Promised discounted elderly care planning. 23 investors, Harrison calculated. Average loss of $90,000 each. He used us. Dad's voice was hollow. Used our names, our reputation, our trust. Every relationship I built over 40 years of teaching became his hunting ground. Not just yours. Patricia pulled up social media. He leveraged all of you, Sarah's bank connections, James's music contacts, Chloe's country club friends, even Gillian's law school network. I never gave him contacts, I protested. You didn't have to. He scraped your LinkedIn, attended alumni events claiming to represent you, introduced himself as Gillian Morrison's brother, the one managing the family's wealth. My stomach turned. How many? 14 of your classmates invested. Total losses of $2.3 million. My friends, the betrayal cut deeper than physical wounds. He stole from my friends. He stole from everyone, Harrison said grimly. The complete victim list is staggering. We're still finding more. Sarah's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and gasped. It's Marcus. Everyone froze. Harrison gestured for quiet, then nodded for her to answer. Put it on speaker, he mouthed. Sarah's hands trembled as she complied. Hello? Hello, sister dear. Marcus's voice filled the room casual, as if calling about dinner plans. Having a nice family meeting. Marcus, where are you? Sarah tried to sound normal. Closer than the FBI thinks. Far enough they won't find me. Tell me, how's everyone taking the news? What news? Sarah stalled. Don't play dumb. I know Gillian poisoned you all against me, showed you selective evidence, made me the villain. You made yourself the villain, I interjected. Ah, there's my sanctimonious sister. Tell me, Gillian, how does it feel to destroy your own brother? How does it feel to try to murder your sister? Silence. Then laughter. Murder is such an ugly word. I prefer attempted problem solving. You were a problem that needed solving. Turn yourself in, Dad commanded. We can work this out. Work this out like we worked out Mom's death, like we worked out years of you favoring Gillian while buying my compliance. No, Dad. The working out phase is over. What do you want? Patricia asked. Aunt Patricia, the prodigal aunt, returns. How poetic. What I want is simple. The key. What key? Patricia lied smoothly. Don't insult me. I know Mom left something with you. Richard told me before he died. Insurance, she called it. Evidence that could burn down everything we built. Everything you stole, James corrected. Semantics. I'm offering a trade, the key for your safety. Our safety. Chloe's voice pitched high. Did you really think federal protection would stop me? I know that house better than anyone. Every window, every door, every weak point. Harrison gestured urgently to his team. They scattered to check perimeters. Besides, Marcus continued, it's not just me you should worry about. Amazing how motivated certain business associates become when facing federal investigation. They blame Gillian for this inconvenience. You're threatening us. I kept my voice steady. I'm explaining reality. Give me the key, I disappear forever. Keep it and, well, accidents happen, gas leaks, house fires, random violence. So many tragedies in the world. You'd hurt your own family. Dad sounded broken. Family. Marcus's laugh was ice. You stopped being family when you chose her over me, when you let Mom die rather than admit your failures, when you turned my siblings into witnesses against me. We're not giving you anything, I stated. Then you're signing their death warrants. Think about it. 1 key versus 5 lives. Even a lawyer should understand that math. The line went dead. We sat in suffocating silence until Harrison returned. Perimeter's secure. He's bluffing about getting inside. He's not bluffing about associates, Patricia said quietly. The Brennan network won't tolerate exposure. They'll eliminate threats. Then we need witness protection, I decided. For all of you, that's not simple, Harrison warned. Nothing about this is simple, Dad said. He looked at Patricia. Where's the key? She hesitated, then pulled it from her pocket. You can't seriously consider giving it to him. I'm considering my children's lives. Mom died protecting that evidence, I argued. Your mother died because secrets ate her alive, Dad countered. I won't lose another family member to this poison. Giving Marcus the key won't end this, Patricia insisted. He'll still need to eliminate witnesses. We all know too much. Then what do we do? Sarah demanded. I stood, decision crystallizing. We end it tonight, before he can regroup or his associates can mobilize. How? James asked. I looked at Patricia. We open the box, release everything, make covering it up impossible. That's dangerous, Harrison warned. Uncontrolled release could compromise prosecutions. Better than controlled deaths, I replied. Patricia nodded slowly. Boston's 2 hours away. If we leave now... You can't, Harrison interrupted. It's too risky. Then bring the box here, I suggested. That would require federal coordination, warrants, time we don't have. Or, Patricia smiled grimly, we use technology. She opened her laptop again. I have digital access to the box, biometric security I established years ago. I can release everything remotely. Do it, I said. Wait, Sarah grabbed my arm. If that information goes public, we're all targets. Not just from Marcus, but from everyone implicated. We're already targets, James pointed out. This could destroy more than criminals, Chloe worried. Innocent people connected to the network, their families. Like Marcus destroyed our victims' families, I asked. Becoming him doesn't defeat him, Dad said quietly. We all turned to him. He stood straighter authority, returning to his voice. Your mother believed in truth with mercy, justice with wisdom. We release the information, but carefully, through proper channels. Give innocents time to distance themselves while ensuring the guilty face consequences. How? Patricia asked. FBI takes primary evidence. Media gets summary information. Lawyers handle victim notifications. Everyone plays their part. Harrison considered. We could manage that. Control the narrative while maintaining prosecution integrity. Marcus won't wait, I warned. Then we don't tell him, Dad decided. Let him think he's winning while we dismantle his world properly. You want to con the con artist? James almost smiled. I want to save my family while honoring your mother's sacrifice, Dad corrected. Patricia, can you prepare the release? She nodded, fingers already moving. Give me an hour. I'll create packages for different recipients. Harrison, can your people handle distribution? I asked. If the contents, what you claim, will make it priority 1. What about Marcus? Sarah worried. We give him what he wants, Dad said, or make him think we do. He pulled out an identical key from his pocket. Your mother's piano key. He won't know the difference until it's too late. You want to meet him? Chloe paled. I want to end this, Dad repeated. My failures created this monster. My blindness fed it. Time I face that. Absolutely not, I protested. He's dangerous. He's my son, Dad interrupted. And somewhere beneath the greed and rage, maybe a piece of that boy still exists. I have to try reaching him. This isn't a movie, Sarah argued. He won't have some magical change of heart. Probably not, but I need to look him in the eye one last time. Need him to know that despite everything I remember the child he was before Richard corrupted him. Before you let Richard corrupt him, Patricia said gently but firmly. Dad nodded, accepting the correction. Yes, before I failed him. We all failed each other, James said. But we're here now, together. That counts for something. It counts for everything. Dad agreed. He looked at each of us. Your mother would be proud. You found your way back to each other. Through Gillian, Chloe acknowledged. She saved us even when we hated her for it. I didn't save anyone. I deflected. I just refused to let Marcus win. Same thing, Sarah said. She squeezed my hand. I'm sorry. For doubting. For blaming. For not seeing what you were protecting us from. We all have apologies to make, James added, and time to make them, thanks to you. Save the sentiment for after we survive, I advised, but warmth bloomed in my chest. Patricia looked up from her laptop. It's ready, everything categorized and prepared for release. Just need the signal. Harrison coordinated with his team while we made our plans. A trap for the trapper, truth for the liar, justice for the thief. And maybe, if we were lucky, peace for a family that had suffered too long under the golden child's shadow. The house of cards was falling. The only question was whether we'd emerge from the rubble intact. Patricia commanded the room with renewed authority. Before we execute this plan, you all need to know why I was really exiled 15 years ago. She closed her laptop and stood facing the family portrait above the fireplace. Mom smiled down at us, frozen in time before cancer and secrets ravaged our world. Elizabeth called me the night she died, Patricia began. 3 a.m. I was living in Philadelphia, then trying to build my accounting practice. Her voice was calm, too calm. I need you to promise me something, Patty, she said. She hadn't called me Patty since we were kids. Dad sank into his chair, fresh grief etching his features. She told me about the pills, said she'd calculated the exact dose, enough to look accidental but ensure success. I begged her to wait, offered to drive up immediately. Patricia's voice cracked. She said, "It's too late, but it's not too late for them. Promise you'll protect my babies when the truth comes out." "What truth?" Sarah whispered. Patricia pulled out a worn envelope. This arrived by courier 2 days after her funeral. Inside was everything. Richard Brennan's blackmail, Marcus's early crimes, and this. She handed me a photograph. My hand trembled as I recognized the image. Mom young and radiant holding a baby, but the baby wasn't any of us. "That's Marcus's biological mother," Patricia explained. "Diana Brennan, Richard's first wife." The room tilted. Everything we thought we knew shifted again. James grabbed the photo. Diana died in childbirth. Richard remarried quickly, but he never stopped loving her. When he met your mother, he saw Diana's ghost, became obsessed. "But Marcus is Dad's son," Chloe insisted. "He looks just like him." "No." Dad spoke quietly. "He looks like my brother, my twin who died in Vietnam." Patricia nodded. Elizabeth discovered the truth when Marcus was 16, did the math, realized the affair happened before she and Thomas were married. "You're saying—" I couldn't finish. "Marcus is Richard's son, has been all along. Your father knew but raised him anyway, loved him, gave him everything." "I made a promise," Dad said simply, "to a dying woman. Diana begged me to raise her son if anything happened. She knew Richard was unstable." "So you married Mom knowing she'd been with Richard?" Sarah asked. "Your mother never touched Richard. He drugged her, one night. She didn't remember until years later when memories surfaced during cancer treatment. Bile rose in my throat. Every revelation made the nightmare worse. When Elizabeth confronted Richard, he laughed, said Marcus was his greatest achievement, already corrupted, already primed to destroy the Morrison family from within. "Mom knew Marcus wasn't ours," Chloe breathed. "She suspected, but she loved him anyway, tried to save him. When she realized how deep Richard's influence went, she started documenting everything." Patricia returned to the portrait. She knew Richard would eventually activate Marcus fully, use him to steal the Morrison legacy, so she created her own insurance. The safety deposit box, I realized. Not just that. Patricia moved to Mom's piano. She left pieces everywhere, scattered like breadcrumbs. The box in Boston is just the master key. She pressed a series of keys on the piano. A soft click echoed. The top opened slightly, revealing a hidden compartment. She had these built into everything she touched, the piano, her jewelry box, even the kitchen spice rack. Dad stood shakily. 20 years, 20 years of secrets hidden in plain sight. Patricia pulled documents from the piano. Financial records, DNA tests she had done secretly, recordings of Richard's threats, photos of Marcus meeting with criminals while still in high school. Each piece of evidence added weight to the horror. Our mother had lived surrounded by proof of betrayal, unable to act without destroying the children she loved. This recording is from 2 weeks before she died. Patricia said, pressing play on an old cassette player. Mom's voice filled the room, weak but determined. My darling children, if you're hearing this, then Patricia kept her promise. I'm sorry. Sorry for the lies. Sorry for the truth. Sorry I wasn't strong enough to fix this while alive. Sarah sobbed. James held Chloe as she shook. I felt frozen, suspended between rage and grief. Marcus isn't evil, Mom continued. He's poisoned. Richard filled him with hate before I could fill him with love. I tried, God knows I tried, but some infections run too deep. Gillian, my brave girl, you'll be the one to stop him. You have my strength and your father's integrity. Save your siblings. Save yourself. But if you can save Marcus too, he's as much a victim as villain. James, your music will heal this family. Don't let anyone silence your song. Sarah, your gentle heart is not weakness. Chloe, your joy will return after sorrow passes. Thomas, forgive yourself. You gave a lost boy a father's love. That matters more than blood ever could. And Patricia, my sister, my secret keeper, thank you. What I ask is unfair but necessary. Guide them home when they're ready. The recording clicked off. We sat in devastated silence until Harrison's radio crackled. Movement detected, north perimeter. Marcus, Harrison asked. Unknown, investigating. Patricia quickly returned documents to the piano. There's more hidden throughout the house. Your mother spent years preparing for this moment. Why didn't she just expose Richard? Chloe demanded. With what proof a drugged woman's word against a respected doctor? Besides, she loved Marcus, hoped she could save him. Instead, he helped kill her, James said bitterly. The pills were hers alone, Patricia corrected. But yes, his betrayal contributed. Dad pulled out the piano key. If Marcus isn't my blood, I have no obligation to protect him. He's still the boy you raised, I reminded him. No, that boy died when Richard's poison took hold. What's left is a stranger wearing my son's face. Harrison's radio crackled again. False alarm, just a deer. But tension remained high. Marcus was out there planning. His associates were mobilizing. Time was running out. We need the rest of Mom's evidence, I decided. Patricia, where else did she hide things? Her greenhouse, the attic. Various places Richard wouldn't think to look. I'll help, Sarah volunteered. I know her hiding spots. We all do, James added. She taught us treasure hunts as kids, never realized she was training us. As my siblings dispersed to search, Dad caught my arm. I need to tell you something about why I favored Marcus. I waited, seeing years of guilt in his eyes. Richard threatened to expose the assault, said he'd claim Elizabeth seduced him, destroy her reputation. I gave Marcus everything to keep Richard appeased. You sacrificed us for blackmail. I sacrificed myself, thought if Marcus felt loved enough he'd choose family over blood. I was wrong. We were children. We needed you too. I know, another failure to atone for. Harrison interrupted. Ms. Morrison, we have a development. Brittany wants to make a deal. On speakerphone, Brittany's voice was different, scared, real. They're going to kill me. Marcus's associates. I know too much. You're in federal custody, Harrison reminded her. That won't stop them. Please, I have information, everything, but I need protection. What information? I asked. Account numbers, murder plots, the full network. Richard documented everything and I copied it all. Why should we trust you? Because in 6 hours a team will hit your house. Professional killers. Marcus sold you out to save himself. My blood chilled. When? Dawn. They want the key and witnesses eliminated. Marcus gets $5 million for delivering both. He'd sell his family for money. He'd sell his soul for money, already has. Harrison mobilized his team while we processed this betrayal. Even knowing Marcus's nature, this shocked us. There's something else, Brittany added, about your mother's death. We know Richard drugged her, Patricia said. Not about that, about the cancer. We all froze. What about the cancer? Dad demanded. Richard caused it. Environmental toxins introduced gradually. He wanted her weak, dependent, dead. You're lying, Sarah gasped. I have his journal. He documented the process, called it his masterpiece, killing someone slowly while playing their savior. Rage unlike anything I'd ever felt consumed me. Our mother hadn't just died. She'd been murdered, slowly, deliberately, while we watched. Where's the journal? Patricia's voice was deadly calm. In my apartment, hidden in the freezer behind the ice cream. Such a mundane location for evidence of pure evil. We'll send agents, Harrison promised. Send them fast. Marcus knows where it is too. The call ended. We stood in crushing silence until Chloe returned from the attic. Found these, she said, holding a box of letters. More of Mom's evidence. More truth we weren't sure we could bear. Read them later, I decided. Right now, we need to survive until dawn. 6 hours, James calculated. 6 hours to expose a conspiracy, 20 years in the making. Then let's get started, Dad said. He looked stronger, angrier, ready. Elizabeth deserves justice. We all do. Patricia reopened her laptop. I'm initiating the document release. Harrison, are your people ready? Standing by. Then let's burn it all down, she said, pressing enter. Somewhere in the night, servers began transferring decades of evidence, the truth spreading like wildfire through official channels. Marcus thought he was coming to collect a key. Instead, he'd find his empire already in ashes. And at dawn, we'd be ready for whatever came next. Harrison's phone erupted with calls as Patricia's document release triggered responses across multiple agencies. FBI headquarters, state police, even Homeland Security suddenly scrambling to process 20 years of criminal evidence. Confirm receipt, Harrison barked into his phone. Yes, all files. Brennan Network, Morrison Financial, everything. While chaos unfolded around us, my siblings and I huddled together, processing Brittany's revelation about Mom's murder. Poisoned slowly, Sarah repeated, voice hollow. All those doctor visits. Richard was killing her while pretending to save her. The irony is sickening, James said. We trusted him completely, called him Uncle Richard. Dad stood at the window watching federal agents patrol our property. I brought her killer into our home, gave him access to our children, let him corrupt Marcus. You didn't know, Chloe offered weakly. I should have known. A husband should protect his wife. Stop, Patricia commanded. Guilt serves no purpose now. Elizabeth wouldn't want you drowning in self-blame. What would she want? Dad turned eyes blazing. Her murder avenged her children safe. Her family whole. I failed at all of it. We're not done yet, I reminded him. Dawn's still hours away. Harrison ended his call. Boston PD secured Brittany's apartment. They found the journal. Richard Brennan documented everything, including your mother's murder. I want to see it, Dad demanded. It's evidence now, but I can tell you it's comprehensive. Dates, doses, chemical compounds. He treated her death like a science experiment. James punched the wall, knuckles splitting. 20 years. 20 years we mourned a suicide that was actually murder. The suicide was real, Patricia corrected gently, but she was driven to it. Richard calculated every step. My phone rang. Unknown number. Harrison nodded for me to answer. Hello? Agent Walsh here, Brittany's federal handler. Your brother made contact. He wants to meet tonight, alone. Absolutely not, Harrison interjected. He says he has information about the Dawn attack, details that could save lives. It's a trap, Sarah insisted. Obviously, but we need those details. I looked at my family. Where does he want to meet? The old Brennan estate, where Richard lived, says it's poetic justice. The estate where Mom was first drugged, where Marcus learned his dark trades, where our family's destruction began. I'll go, Dad announced. Like hell, I countered. If anyone meets him, it's me. The daughter he tried to kill, that's insane. The daughter who exposed him, he'll expect me, trust me less, make mistakes. Or kill you successfully this time, Chloe argued. Patricia studied her laptop screen. Wait, I'm tracking unusual financial activity. Large transfers from Morrison financial accounts. Marcus is moving money. How we froze everything, Harrison said. Hidden accounts, ghost transactions. He's liquidating assets we didn't know existed. How much? 40 million and climbing. 40 million, Sarah gasped. He stole 40 million. Over 20 years, apparently. Richard taught him well. Where's it going? I asked. Patricia's fingers flew across keys. Cryptocurrency. Multiple wallets. He's converting everything to digital currency. Preparing to run, Harrison concluded. Question is where? He won't run without revenge, I insisted. The meeting is real. He needs to gloat. Dad pulled on his coat. Then I'm going. We're all going, James decided. Family faces this together. That's exactly what he wants, Harrison warned. All of you in one place. Then we give him what he wants, I said, but on our terms. I outlined a plan, simple but effective. Use Marcus's arrogance against him. Patricia continues the money trace. Harrison positions teams around the estate. We go in wired and ready. And when he tries to kill us, Sarah asked, we trust the FBI to do their job. I have a better idea, a new voice said. We turned to find Agent Walsh, formerly known as Brittany, standing in our doorway. She looked different without designer clothes and perfect makeup. Smaller, more real. How are you here? Harrison demanded. Released on federal recognizance. Seems my 3 years undercover bought some goodwill. She faced our family. I know you hate me. You should. But I can help. You're still married to him, Chloe spat. Legally. Emotionally, I've been done since I learned about your mother. Richard was my uncle, but Elizabeth was innocent. Her murder crossed lines even I won't forgive. Convenient conscience, James muttered. Marcus trusts me, Walsh continued. Thinks I'm still playing the devoted wife. I can get close, disable his weapons, signal when to move. Why would you help us? I asked. Because Richard destroyed my family too. My mother died thinking her brother was a good man, learning the truth about what he did, who he really was. I want justice too. Justice or a deal? Patricia challenged. Both, I won't lie, but my deal helps you live through dawn. Harrison considered. She knows Marcus's patterns, his escape routes, could be valuable. Could be another trap, Sarah countered. Dad stepped forward, studying Walsh with teacher's eyes. What did my wife mean to you? The question surprised her. I only met her once, at a Christmas party when I was 12. She taught me to make paper snowflakes. Said every snowflake was unique, like people. That differences made us beautiful. Her voice cracked. I kept that snowflake for years, even after joining this sick game. Reminder that good people existed. She's dead because of your family, Dad said quietly. I know, I can't fix that, but I can help stop Marcus from killing more innocents. Silence stretched until Dad nodded. Elizabeth believed in redemption, even for those who didn't deserve it. Dad, no, I protested. She comes, but armed agents stay close. First sign of betrayal. You'll have bigger problems than me, Walsh finished. Marcus rigged the estate with surprises. I know where they are. When did he have time? Harrison asked. He's been planning this for months. The house arrest just accelerated his timeline. She pulled out a tablet showing building blueprints. Explosives in the basement, trigger mechanisms on all exits. He wants you trapped when his associates arrive. You helped plan this, James accused. I documented it, part of my FBI cover. But yes, I helped him believe I supported it. And we should trust you because, Sarah demanded. Because in 3 hours, either we all survive together or die separately. Marcus doesn't plan to spare me either. I know too much. She's right, Patricia confirmed, monitoring financial channels. I'm seeing bounties posted on dark websites. $1 million each for Morrison family members. $2 million for Gillian. $5 million for Agent Walsh. He put hits on us, Chloe paled. Professional contracts. The dawn attack is just the beginning. I felt the walls closing in. Marcus had turned our exposure of him into a death sentence for us all. All the more reason to end this tonight, I decided. We can't hide forever. So we're going, Dad asked. We're going, but smart, coordinated, ready for anything. Harrison began tactical planning while Walsh detailed the estate's dangers. Patricia tracked Marcus's digital footprints. My siblings prepared themselves mentally for confronting their brother one last time. I stepped onto the back porch, needing air. Mom's garden stretched before me, silver in moonlight. Her roses still bloomed despite the late season defiant against approaching winter. Sarah joined me. You saved us, you know. Whatever happens next, you saved us from living lies. I destroyed our family. Marcus destroyed our family. You're rebuilding it. With what brothers and prison parents' dead trust shattered? With truth, love, the things that actually matter. She hugged me. Mom would be proud. Mom would be alive if I'd acted sooner. Mom would be murdered regardless. At least now her killer faces justice. Through the window, I watched Dad coordinate with agents. James checked weapons with surprising competence. Chloe studied building plans. Patricia typed furiously. Even Walsh seemed genuinely focused on helping. We're going to survive this, Sarah said firmly. All of us, even Marcus if he lets us. He won't let us. He's too far gone. Maybe, but we have to try, for Mom, for the brother he could have been. I thought about the boy in our family photos, bright-eyed, laughing. Before Richard's poison took hold, that child deserved mourning even if the man he became deserved prison. 1 hour, Harrison called. We move in 1 hour. 1 hour until we face the golden child's final gambit. 1 hour to prepare for whatever desperate moves remained in Marcus's playbook. I looked at Mom's roses one last time, drawing strength from their stubborn beauty. Then I went inside to face the endgame with my family. The night of revelation was almost over. Dawn would bring either justice or disaster. Maybe both. The federal convoy moved through empty Connecticut streets like a funeral procession. I rode with Dad and Patricia in an armored SUV, while my siblings followed in another vehicle. Agent Walsh, our unlikely ally, guided the lead car toward Richard Brennan's estate. 2 miles out, Harrison's voice crackled through radios. Thermal imaging shows one heat signature inside. Appears to be Marcus. Appears to be, I questioned. He's smart enough to use decoys, Walsh responded, but movement patterns match his profile. Dad stared out the window, hands clenched. 20 years I drove past that estate. 20 years of dinners, holidays, celebrations with the man who murdered my wife. You couldn't have known, Patricia said gently. I should have seen something, some sign. Psychopaths are expert mimics, I reminded him. Richard fooled everyone. Not Elizabeth. She saw through him eventually. And paid for it, Patricia added quietly. The radio crackled again. Perimeter teams in position, snipers on overwatch. We have multiple escape routes covered. Through the trees, the Brennan estate emerged like a cancer on the landscape. Gothic architecture trying too hard to impress all sharp angles and dark stone. Money without taste. Power without grace. Pull back here, Walsh instructed. Marcus has cameras covering the main approach. Our convoy stopped behind a ridge. Agents dispersed into the woods with practiced efficiency. In the distance, one window glowed in the mansion's east wing. Richard's study, Walsh identified, where he kept his trophies. Trophies, James asked over comms. Photos of victims, financial records of ruins. He displayed destruction like art. My stomach turned. Mom's killer had celebrated her death in that very room. Movement, a sniper reported. Target approaching window, confirming identity. It's Marcus Morrison. My brother appeared in the window, silhouetted against golden light. He raised a champagne glass in mock salute toward our hidden position. He knows we're here, Sarah breathed. He wants us to know he knows, I corrected. Classic Marcus. Everything's a performance. Gillian, his voice suddenly boomed through hidden speakers. Family, welcome to the finale. Exterior sound system, Walsh explained. Richard used it for garden parties. I wondered when you'd arrive, Marcus continued, though I expected more subtlety from the FBI. 17 agents is overkill for one financial advisor. 23 agents, Harrison muttered. He missed 6. Come inside. Let's discuss terms like civilized people. Or would you prefer I start the fireworks early? On cue, a small explosion rocked the estate's garden shed. Flames leaped into the night sky. Just a demonstration, Marcus assured us. The main show waits for dawn, unless we reach an agreement. What does he want? Chloe asked. Everything, I answered. Always everything. Harrison coordinated response teams to the fire while maintaining perimeter security. Through it all, Marcus watched from his window, conducting chaos like a maestro. 1 hour until dawn. Patricia noted, checking her phone. His associates will move soon. Then we go in, Dad decided. End this before more people get hurt. Negative, Harrison countered. Too dangerous. Everything's dangerous now, I argued. At least inside we can contain him. Or he contains you. Those explosives aren't for show. Jennifer knows where they are. I used Walsh's real name deliberately. We can avoid them. Some of them, she corrected. Marcus didn't share everything, even with me. Through the radio, we heard federal chatter about suspicious vehicles approaching from multiple directions. The dawn attack was mobilizing early. We're out of time, I insisted. She's right, Dad supported me. Better to face Marcus than unknown assassins. Harrison struggled with the decision. Protocol demanded caution. Reality demanded action. You have 10 minutes, he conceded. Full wire surveillance. First sign of trouble, we come in hard. I'll disable what explosives I can, Walsh offered. You're not going anywhere alone, James insisted. I'll cover you. Strange alliances forming in desperation. The con woman and the musician, the lawyer and the killer, the family and the federal agents. We approached the estate on foot, weapons drawn but lowered. The front door stood open, spilling light onto manicured grounds. Welcome home, Marcus's voice echoed. Or what was almost home. Did you know Richard wanted to adopt me officially? Give me the Brennan name. Why didn't he? I called out. Because keeping me a Morrison served his purposes better. Trojan horse inside your perfect family. We entered cautiously, Walsh, pointing out pressure plates and tripwires. The mansion's interior screamed stolen wealth, museum-quality art, priceless antiques, blood money transformed into beauty. Studies upstairs, Walsh directed. But watch the third step, Mercury switch underneath. We climbed carefully, each creak seeming to mock our progress. Family photos lined the walls, Richard with politicians, celebrities, unaware they were posing with evil. You found the journal, Marcus observed as we reached the landing. Brittany always was resourceful, though I prefer calling her Jennifer now, more honest. You knew. Walsh stopped short. I've known for 2 years, dear wife. Your pillow talk improved dramatically after you turned federal. Betrayal within betrayal. Even their marriage contained double crosses. Yet you stayed with me, Walsh challenged. Useful tools deserve using. Besides, feeding false information to the FBI amused me. We reached the study door. Marcus stood with his back to us, gazing at Richard's trophy wall. Look at this. He gestured to photos. 40 years of successful predation. Richard understood power. Take everything. Apologize to no one. Die undefeated. He died alone. Dad entered first, abandoned, haunted, begging forgiveness from ghosts. He died rich, Marcus countered. That's all that matters. You believe that? Sarah stepped forward. After everything we shared, every Christmas birthday family dinner. Shared. Marcus finally turned. His face had aged years in hours' exhaustion and rage, carving new lines. You shared nothing. I was the outsider, the changeling, the boy who didn't belong. We loved you, Chloe insisted. You loved the performance, the Golden Child Act, but underneath you all knew something was wrong, felt the difference. Because Richard made you different, James argued, not because we rejected you. Semantics. The result remains. I was alone in a house full of people, rich in a family of modest means, ambitious among the complacent. Corrupted among the innocent, I added. His laugh was bitter. Innocent Dad cheated his students with grade inflation for favorites. Mom buried her head in gardens rather than face reality. You all lived in delusion. While you lived in theft, Dad said quietly. While I lived in truth, Richard's truth. Power comes from taking, not giving. Love is weakness. Family is leverage. Then why call us here? Patricia asked. Why not just run with your millions? Because running is losing, and I don't lose. He pulled out a remote control. Red lights blinked on devices throughout the room. Insurance, he explained. One button ends everything. This room, this family, this whole sick story. You'd kill yourself too, Walsh noted. Better than prison, better than poverty, better than living with failure. This isn't winning. I stepped closer. It's just another performance. The Golden Child's final show. Stay back, he warned, finger hovering over the button. Why you're going to push it anyway? Might as well get close for the finale. I moved steadily forward, seeing fear creep into his eyes. For all his bravado, Marcus didn't want to die. I'll do it, he threatened. No, you won't, because deep down you still want to win, still think there's an angle to play. You don't know me. I raised you, changed your diapers, taught you to tie shoes, read you bedtime stories. Ancient history. Our history, before Richard, before poison, when you were just my little brother who was afraid of thunderstorms. Something flickered in his expression, memory fighting programming. Remember the fort? Sarah joined my approach. The one we built in the basement, you made us sign a constitution, equal votes for everyone. Childish nonsense. Marcus dismissed, but his voice wavered. You wrote no tyrants allowed on the door. James added, said every kingdom needed democracy. Before you became the tyrant, Chloe observed sadly. I became what was necessary, Marcus insisted. What Richard showed me I could be. What Richard forced you to become, Dad corrected. He stole your choices, made you his weapon against us. I chose plenty, Marcus countered. Chose every theft, every lie, every betrayal. After he rewired your soul, Patricia said gently. Elizabeth saw it happening, tried to stop it, died trying to save you. She died because she was weak. She died because she loved you. I reached for the remote. Loved the boy you were, mourned the man you became, but never stopped hoping you'd find your way back. His hand trembled. Tears gathered but didn't fall. It's too late, he whispered. It's never too late. Dad stepped beside me. You're still my son. Blood or not, crime or not. I failed you, but that love remains. Love. Marcus laughed brokenly. You don't love me. You love the idea of me, the son you wanted versus the one you got. I love both, Dad insisted. The golden child and the broken man, the performer and the person underneath. There's nothing underneath. Richard made sure of that. Richard's dead, I reminded him. His voice doesn't have to be yours anymore. For a moment, Marcus looked impossibly young, lost, the mask cracking to reveal decades of pain. Then headlights flooded the room. Vehicle engines roared outside. The dawn attack had arrived early. Contacts incoming. Harrison's voice exploded through comms. Multiple hostiles, weapons hot. Marcus smiled sadly. Too late for redemption stories. The bills come due. He didn't press the button. Instead, he set down the remote and walked to the window. They're here for all of us, he observed casually. My associates don't leave witnesses. Then help us stop them, I urged. Why prison or death? Those are my only options now. Living is an option. Testified, protected, alive to make amends. Amens. He turned back. I destroyed dozens of lives, stole millions, helped murder our mother. What amends could possibly balance that? Gunfire erupted outside. Federal agents engaging Marcus's arriving associates. Our family huddled together as windows shattered. This is how it ends, Marcus observed. The golden child's kingdom burning down. This is how it changes, I countered, grabbing the remote. You can still choose differently. He looked at each of us, his fractured family, his abandoned siblings, his betrayed father. I'm sorry, he said quietly, 2 words carrying 20 years of weight. Then he pulled a hidden gun, turning toward the door as footsteps pounded up the stairs. Get down, he screamed, firing at the first attacker through the doorway. Chaos exploded. Gunfire, shouts, federal agents breaching from multiple points, Marcus's associates fighting viciously. In the madness, I saw my brother's choice. Not redemption exactly, but protection. Using his last moments to shield the family he'd terrorized. A bullet caught him center mass. He staggered but kept firing, buying us precious seconds to take cover. Marcus. Dad lunged forward, but James held him back. More shots. Marcus fell to his knees, blood spreading across Richard's precious carpet. The basement, he gasped. Main charges, kitchen pantry, 60 seconds. Walsh and Harrison sprinted for the basement while agents subdued the remaining attackers. I crawled to Marcus, pressing against his wounds. Why, I asked. Mom's roses, he whispered, kept seeing them. Every dream, asking why I let them die. His eyes found Dad. Tell her I remembered the Constitution, no tyrants. I'll tell her, Dad promised, tears streaming. Marcus smiled, the first genuine smile I'd seen from him in 20 years. Then the golden child closed his eyes and finally stopped performing. Around us, federal agents secured the scene. The dawn attack was repelled, the explosives disarmed, the family saved. But victory tasted like ash, because in the end, Marcus found redemption the only way he could, by dying for the family he'd lived to destroy. The golden child was gone. What remained was just a man who remembered too late what love meant. And in Richard Brennan's study, surrounded by trophies of destruction, the Morrison family mourned the brother we'd lost twice, once to corruption and finally to conscience. The aftermath of the shooting left us in a surreal calm. Federal agents processed the scene while EMTs confirmed what we already knew. Marcus was gone. Dad held his body until they gently but firmly separated them, leading us to a secure room while investigators worked. He saved us, Sarah said, numbly shocked, making her voice distant. He saved himself, I corrected quietly, from becoming Richard completely. Agent Harrison entered blood on his tactical vest but moving steadily. Scene secure. 3 attackers dead, 2 in custody. Your brother's intelligence was accurate. We found enough explosives to level the entire estate. What happens now? Dad asked, aged a decade in one night. Now we clean up, and Ms. Morrison executes the legal strategy she's been building. All eyes turned to me. Even in grief, the machinery of justice couldn't pause. I've been preparing for 2 years. I began pulling out my secured phone. Every document filed, every protection arranged, every contingency covered. I accessed encrypted files showing them months of meticulous legal work. First, the house. 6 months ago, I established the Morrison Family Preservation Trust. Dad, you signed it, thinking it was retirement planning. The papers you brought that night, he remembered. The house can never be sold without unanimous consent from all beneficiaries. That means Sarah, James, Chloe, and myself. Marcus was specifically excluded with a morality clause. "You knew he'd try to take it?" Chloe asked. I knew he'd already tried. 3 previous attempts to forge deed transfers, all blocked by the trust structure. I pulled up more documents. Your personal assets are equally protected. Individual trusts preventing unauthorized access. Marcus's power of attorney was void the moment he committed fraud. "But I signed," Dad protested. "Under duress and misrepresentation. I filed sealed challenges to every document Marcus prepared. Judge Patterson agreed to emergency hearings if needed." Judge Patterson, James recognized the name, from Mom's book club. Who better to protect Dad than someone who knew Mom's wishes? Patricia smiled grimly. Elizabeth would be proud, using community connections for justice. That's just the beginning. I showed them FBI agreements. Every family member has immunity deals. Sarah, your actions at the bank were documented as coercion. James, any debts to Marcus are void. Illegal loans have no standing. Chloe, we're reopening your divorce settlement given Marcus's interference. You thought of everything, Sarah breathed. I thought of family. Marcus thought of money. That's why I won. Harrison's phone rang. He listened, then smiled. Brittany, Agent Walsh, located the Cayman accounts. $43 million recovered so far. That money goes to victims first, I stated. Then civil penalties. What remains establishes a restitution fund. Nothing for us, Chloe asked, then caught herself. Sorry, that sounded human, I finished. But no, we don't profit from his crimes. We survive them. I pulled up the most important document. Marcus's arrest warrant was part of a larger RICO case, racketeering charges against the entire Brennan network. With his death testimony becomes crucial. Whose testimony, Dad asked. All of ours, plus Agent Walsh, plus Patricia's evidence. We're the star witnesses in dismantling 20 years of financial predation. Testifying against our dead brother, Sarah looked sick. Testifying for his victims, Mrs. Patterson eating cat food, Mr. Kim's grandchildren losing college funds, every elder whose trust was betrayed. Through the window, dawn finally broke properly. Golden light illuminated the estate's grounds, revealing the night's damage. Bullet holes, scorch marks, blood. There's more, I continued. The validation court order I mentioned, it was signed yesterday. Every transaction Marcus made in Dad's name is under review. I showed them the judge's order. Retroactive to 5 years ago. Any transfers, sales, or financial instruments he created are frozen pending investigation. The restaurant investors, James realized, can they recover their money? Most of it. Insurance bonds cover some losses. Seized assets provide more. No one gets whole, but everyone gets something. What about criminal charges? Dad worried. If transactions are void, you're protected. Victims of identity theft aren't prosecuted for the thief's actions. Every document establishes Marcus as the sole bad actor. Using family as shields again, Patricia observed. Using law as justice, there's a difference. Agent Harrison interrupted. Ms. Morrison, we have a situation. Press caught wind of the shooting. They're gathering outside. Through windows, I could see news vans arriving. Our private tragedy about to become public spectacle. I prepared for this too. I pulled out a drafted statement. Patricia, you have media contacts. Can you coordinate? She nodded, already dialing numbers. I'll manage the narrative. Focus on victims, not family drama. Wait, Chloe said. What about Marcus's funeral? His reputation. He died saving federal agents from explosives, I said carefully. That's the story, a moment of redemption after years of crime. Lying about him even in death, Sarah challenged. Choosing which truth to emphasize. He was a criminal, also a brother. Both things matter. Dad stood slowly. I want to see him again. before they take him. Harrison looked to me. I nodded. We all do. We returned to the study where Marcus fell. His body was covered but not yet removed. Dad knelt beside him, pulling back the sheet. In death, my brother looked peaceful. The strain gone. The performance ended. Just the face I'd known since birth, finally at rest. He was 4 when you were born, Dad told me. So excited about a baby sister. Carried your picture everywhere. Before Richard, I said. Before everything went wrong. Dad touched Marcus's hair gently. Maybe now he's free. From Richard's voice, James agreed, from the poison. We stood vigil until the coroner arrived, each sibling saying goodbye to the brother we'd lost long before tonight, the golden child who'd tarnished himself beyond recognition, but found in his final moment a glimmer of the boy he'd been. As they took him away, my phone buzzed with alerts, banks confirming frozen accounts, lawyers acknowledging filed motions, the legal machine I'd built activating across multiple jurisdictions. You really did prepare everything. Patricia marveled, reading notifications over my shoulder. Not everything, I admitted. I didn't prepare for him dying. Part of me thought, he'd survive to face justice, Dad supplied. To find redemption, real redemption, in life, not death. He found what he could, Dad said firmly. That has to be enough. Harrison returned with updates. Press conference in 1 hour. U.S. Attorney wants to announce the RICO case. You'll need to be there. All of us, Sarah paled. United front, I confirmed. Show the world that families can survive predators, even internal ones. What do we say, Chloe worried? The truth. That we loved someone who lost his way. That crime has consequences. That victims deserve justice. And Marcus, James asked, how do we explain him? I thought carefully. We explain that Richard Brennan stole a child's soul, that greed consumed a good person, that in the end family mattered more than money. Will anyone believe it? Sarah wondered. Does it matter we know the truth? Mom knew, that's enough. As we prepared to face the cameras, I made final calls. Victim notification services, restitution administrators, insurance investigators, the wheels of justice turning properly at last. Gillian. Dad caught my arm. Thank you for protecting us, for being stronger than I was. You were plenty strong. You loved unconditionally. That's its own courage. Your mother would be so proud. You became everything she hoped. We all did. I looked at my siblings. We survived, together. That's what she wanted most. Outside, reporters gathered like vultures, but I felt ready. 2 years of preparation crystallizing into this moment. The legal framework to protect my family was complete. The criminal network was exposed. The victims would receive justice. Marcus was gone, but his shadow no longer loomed over us. The golden child had fallen, and in falling set us free. Time to tell the world how a family survives betrayal, how love endures despite theft, how justice prevails even when it costs everything. The legal lightning had struck. Now came the cleansing rain of truth. The press conference was scheduled for 9 a.m., but by 8:30 we received word that changed everything. Agent Walsh burst into our temporary headquarters at the local FBI office, face flushed with urgency. He's alive. The words didn't compute. We'd seen Marcus die, held his body, watched them take him away. That's impossible, Harrison stated flatly. The body in the morgue isn't Marcus Morrison. Fingerprints don't match. DNA pending, but preliminary blood type is wrong. The room spun. My carefully constructed legal framework suddenly felt like a house of cards in a hurricane. Then who? Dad couldn't finish. Best guess, one of his associates. Similar height and build. The facial damage from the shooting obscured identity. He played us, I breathed. Even at the end, he played us. Security footage shows someone in tactical gear leaving through the basement during the firefight. We thought it was one of ours. The explosives, James realized. He sent us to the basement to create a distraction. My phone rang. Unknown number. With shaking hands, I answered and put it on speaker. Did you really think I'd die for you? Marcus's voice filled the room alive and mocking. My grand gesture of redemption. Please. I've been playing this family for 20 years. Why stop now? Marcus, Dad's voice broke. We mourned you. Touching. Did you cry, Dad? Did you regret choosing Gillian over your real son? You're not my real son, Dad said quietly. We both know that now. Silence, then a laugh. So Patricia told you about Richard being my father. Good. Let's stop pretending we're family. We are family, Sarah insisted. Blood doesn't change that. Blood is everything. Richard taught me that. His blood runs in my veins, not Thomas Morrison's weak genetics. Where are you? I demanded. Close enough to watch the press conference, far enough to escape, but I'm not calling to gloat. I'm calling to negotiate. The U.S. attorney doesn't negotiate with fugitives, Harrison interjected. But families negotiate with family, and despite everything, these fools still see me as theirs. He was right. Even knowing he'd faked his death manipulated our grief, my siblings looked hopeful. The golden child's hold remained strong. What do you want? I asked. What I've always wanted. Everything. The house, the money, the legacy, but I'll settle for half. Half of what? The $43 million Agent Walsh so helpfully recovered. Transfer half to accounts I'll specify and I disappear forever. That money belongs to victims, Patricia stated. Those victims were weak. Natural selection in action. They'd have lost it eventually anyway. You're sick, Chloe spat. I'm evolved. Richard showed me that morality is a luxury only the poor believe in. Richard died alone and terrified. I reminded him. Is that evolution? Richard died rich. That's all that matters. On another line, FBI techs worked frantically to trace the call. Harrison showed me their progress, narrowing location but needing more time. Keep him talking, he mouthed. Even if we wanted to transfer money, I said, it's frozen by court order, multiple jurisdictions, impossible to move quickly. You found ways to freeze it quickly enough, find ways to unfreeze it. That's not how law works. Law. He spat the word. Your precious law couldn't stop me for 20 years. Couldn't save Mom. Couldn't protect Dad. But suddenly, it's sacred. Law is all that separates us from predators like you. We're all predators, Gillian. Some just admit it. Dad stepped closer to the phone. Marcus, please, come home. Face justice. I'll stand by you through trial. Stand by me. You couldn't stand by me when I was your golden child. Why would I trust you now? Because despite everything I love you. Love. Another bitter laugh. You loved the performance. The son who reflected glory on you. When I stopped performing, you replaced me with Gillian. That's not true. Isn't it? Who did you brag about at school? Your son, the financial advisor, or your daughter, the lawyer, who got the proud father speeches? You were stealing from my colleagues. I was succeeding building an empire while she was still in school. But success without morality meant nothing to you. It shouldn't mean anything to anyone, James interjected. Spoken like a failure. How's that music career brother still playing coffee shops for tips? I'd rather play honestly for pennies than steal millions. Which is why you'll always be poor, and I'll always be rich. The trace was completing. Harrison showed me coordinates. Marcus was calling from the harbor, probably on a boat ready to flee. You said you wanted to negotiate. I redirected. Half the money for disappearing forever. What else? Immunity. Full and complete. No pursuit, no charges, no investigation. That's impossible. Federal charges are already filed. Then unfile them. You're clever, Gillian. Figure it out. Even if I could, which I can't, why would we trust you to stay gone? Because the alternative is war. I have resources, connections, people who owe me favors. Your little legal protections won't stop a determined assault. You're threatening us again. I'm explaining reality. Give me what I want or spend your lives looking over your shoulders. We're already doing that, Sarah said quietly. It gets worse, trust me. Through the window, I could see press gathering outside, the conference that would expose everything approaching rapidly. We need time, I stalled. Legal mechanisms take days, not hours. You have 1 hour. By the time your press conference ends, I want confirmation of transfers beginning. Or I release everything. Not just financial records, personal ones, every family secret, every embarrassment, every private moment you thought was safe. You monitored us that closely. Chloe sounded sick. I know Sarah's therapy transcripts, James's addiction struggles, Chloe's breakdown after the divorce, Dad's grief journals, even perfect Gillian's moments of doubt. Those are private. Nothing's private from family, and I documented everything. The violations kept multiplying, not just financial predation, but emotional surveillance. The golden child is family stalker. Release it, I said firmly. We have nothing to hide. Really, Dad doesn't mind the world knowing about his suicide attempt after Mom died. Sarah's comfortable with her eating disorder becoming public. James wants his drug arrest at 17 broadcast. Each revelation landed like a blow. Things we'd thought buried. Moments of pain weaponized. You're evil, James stated simply. I'm prepared. The difference between winner and loser. You've already lost, I countered. Living in shadows. Running forever. No family, no home, no peace. I'll have money. Money buys everything else. Money didn't buy Richard love. Won't buy you redemption. Still believing in redemption after everything I've done, you're more naive than Mom. Mom believed in redemption until her last breath. That's strength, not naivety. Mom killed herself rather than face truth. That's weakness defined. Mom was murdered by your real father, the man you're so proud to emulate. Silence stretched. When Marcus spoke again, his voice had changed. Colder, harder. 1 hour, half the money or full exposure. Choose wisely. The line went dead. We stood in stunned aftermath, processing new betrayals. He monitored our therapy, Sarah whispered, our private moments. He monitored everything. Patricia confirmed, checking her systems. I'm finding hidden cameras in all your homes, keyloggers on computers, your entire lives under surveillance. For how long? Dad asked. Years, maybe a decade. The technology evolved, but the invasion remained constant. How do we fight that? Chloe despaired. He knows everything about us. And we know everything about him, I reminded them, including where he is. Harrison confirmed it. Harbor patrol's moving in, quiet approach. We might get him. He'll have contingencies, Walsh warned. Marcus always has contingencies. Then we need our own. I looked at my family. He wants to expose our secrets. Let's expose them first. What? Sarah recoiled. Press conference in 20 minutes. We control the narrative, admit our struggles, own our pain, take away his ammunition, air our private battles publicly. James looked skeptical. Transform them from weapons to testimonies. Show that everyone struggles, everyone falls, but not everyone becomes a predator because of it. That's insane, Chloe protested. That's honest, the one thing Marcus never learned to be. Dad considered. Your mother would approve. Truth over comfort. Always. We don't have to do this, I assured them. We can try to pay him. Hope he honors the deal. He won't, Patricia stated. Blackmailers never stop, they just escalate. Then we stop him first, Sarah decided, with truth. One by one, my siblings agreed. The family that had hidden behind facades for 20 years would finally step into light. What about the money? Chloe asked. Goes to victims, every penny. Marcus gets nothing. He'll retaliate, James warned. Let him. We'll be free. No more secrets to exploit, no more shame to manipulate. As we prepared for the conference, Harrison received word. Harbor Patrol had found the boat Marcus called from. Empty. Another misdirection. He's still playing us, Walsh observed. No, I corrected. He's still performing, but we're done being his audience. We walked toward the press room together, 5 siblings united by tragedy, strengthened by truth, ready to strip the golden child's power by refusing to be victims anymore. Marcus thought exposure was his weapon. He didn't realize it was our liberation. The press room at the FBI office buzzed with barely contained energy. Reporters jostled for position while cameras focused on the empty podium. Behind a curtain, my family huddled together, each processing what we were about to do. "Remember," I said quietly, "we control our stories. Not Marcus, not the media, us." Sarah clutched note cards with trembling hands. "I've never talked about the eating disorder publicly, not even to friends." "You don't have to now," James assured her. "We can find another way." "No, Gillian's right. Secrets gave him power. Truth takes it back." Agent Harrison approached. "Harbor Patrol lost him, but we have leads. Bus terminal cameras caught someone matching his description buying tickets to multiple destinations." "Classic misdirection," I noted. "He's probably driving in the opposite direction." Ms. Morrison, the U.S. Attorney, arrived looking harried. "I understand there have been developments. Marcus is alive, making demands, threatening exposure of family secrets." Then we postpone, regroup, adjust strategy. We go forward, but expanded scope. Not just financial crimes, but the human cost. Our cost. She looked skeptical. Personal revelations could undermine credibility. Or demonstrate that victims can be anyone, even families of perpetrators. It's risky. Everything about this case is risky. At least this risk serves justice. She nodded slowly. "Your call. But stay focused on the criminal enterprise. Personal details support, not overshadow." "Understood." Harrison's phone rang. He listened, then paled. Marcus just released something. Financial records hitting dark websites. Victim names, addresses, loss amounts. "He's exposing his own victims." Patricia grabbed a laptop, fingers flying. "This makes no sense." "It makes perfect sense," I realized. "He's creating chaos, overwhelming the system, making prosecution harder. And endangering innocent people," Dad added. "They'll be targeted for identity theft, harassment, secondary victimization." "Can we stop it?" Chloe asked. "Already spreading," Patricia reported. "Multiple mirror sites. It's like he prepared this nuclear option months ago." Then we counter with truth, I decided. Show the world who released it and why. Make him the villain, not the victims. The U.S. Attorney nodded. "I'll adjust my remarks. This changes the narrative, but not the goal." 2 minutes, a tech announced. We took positions, the attorney at the podium, our family to the side. Visible, but not central, until our moment came. "Good morning," she began as we entered. "I'm here to announce the largest elder fraud takedown in Connecticut history. The Morrison Financial Advisory Network stole over $40 million from vulnerable victims across multiple states." Cameras clicked furiously. Reporters scribbled notes, the story they'd come for unfolding. The investigation revealed systematic targeting of elderly clients, sophisticated money laundering, and corruption spanning 2 decades. At the center was Marcus Morrison, who learned his criminal trade from Dr. Richard Brennan. She outlined the RICO case, the charges, the evidence. Professional. Devastating. The Golden Child's empire laid bare. However, this case involves more than numbers. It involves families. Betrayal at the most personal level. The Morrison family themselves, victims of Marcus's crimes, have shown extraordinary courage in exposing this network. My cue. I stepped to secondary microphones, my family flanking me. "My name is Gillian Morrison. Marcus is my brother, was my brother. For 20 years, we believed he was building success. Instead, he was building a criminal empire on our family's reputation." I paused, gathering strength. He stole more than money. He stole trust, from clients who saw our father's integrity and assumed Marcus shared it, from siblings who believed his lies, from parents who loved unconditionally. This morning, Marcus threatened to release our family's private struggles if we didn't pay him $21 million. Medical records, therapy notes, moments of pain he surveilled and stockpiled. Murmurs rippled through reporters. This wasn't the story they'd expected. We refuse to be blackmailed. Instead, we'll share our truths ourselves, because shame only exists in shadows, and Marcus has hidden in shadows long enough. I stepped back. Sarah moved forward, voice shaky but determined. I'm Sarah Morrison. I work at Connecticut Savings. Marcus manipulated me into providing account access, claiming our father had dementia. I helped him steal because I trusted him. She took a breath. He threatened to reveal my eating disorder, treatment I sought after our mother's death. I'm not ashamed of needing help. I'm ashamed I enabled his crimes. But I'm testifying, fully, because victims deserve justice more than I deserve privacy. James took the microphone next. I'm James Morrison, musician. Marcus sabotaged my career for years, then offered loans I couldn't repay. He knew about my teenage drug arrest, addiction issues I fought to overcome. His voice strengthened. 13 years clean. That's not shame. That's victory, and I won't let him weaponize my recovery. Chloe stepped up. I'm Chloe Morrison. Marcus interfered with my divorce, ensuring I lost everything. He has documentation of my breakdown afterward, hospitalization for depression. She lifted her chin. Mental health isn't weakness. It's human. I survived my lowest point. I'll survive him exposing it. Dad approached slowly, aged but dignified. I'm Thomas Morrison, father who failed, teacher who was deceived, widower who attempted suicide in grief. The admission hung heavy. Marcus has my private journals, moments of despair after losing Elizabeth. But grief isn't shameful. Love lost hurts. That's not weakness. That's humanity. Patricia surprised us by joining. I'm Patricia Chen Elizabeth's sister, exiled for discovering truth. Marcus has records of my own struggles, therapy for family trauma, medication for anxiety. Every family has pain. Ours just had a predator documenting it, but predators lose power when prey refuses to hide. We stood together, exposed but unbroken. The press room had gone silent, processing this unprecedented confession. The U.S. attorney resumed control. The Morrison family's courage in facing both public corruption and private pain demonstrates why this prosecution matters. Criminals like Marcus Morrison don't just steal money, they steal dignity, security, family bonds. But as you see, they can't steal truth or courage or justice. She outlined next steps: victim restitution, ongoing investigation, the hunt for Marcus. Mr. Morrison faked his death this morning to avoid capture. He's now releasing victim information online, further victimizing those he's already harmed. We need public help finding him before more damage occurs. Marcus's photo appeared on screens, the golden child exposed as common criminal. Questions erupted, reporters shouting over each other. We answered what we could, stayed silent on active investigation details. Ms. Morrison, one called out, "Do you really think public confession protects your family?" "I think truth protects everyone. Marcus trades in secrets. We're declaring bankruptcy on that currency." But victim information is still spreading online. Patricia pulled out her laptop. Not for long. FBI cyber teams are working with major platforms, sites going dark, information being contained. We can't stop everything, I admitted. But we can minimize damage, warn victims, provide credit monitoring, show that exposure doesn't mean destruction. What about Marcus? Where do you think he's gone? Wherever predators go when hunting grounds disappear. But he can't run forever. Too many people looking. Too much evidence compiled. Would you forgive him? A reporter asked Dad. I forgive the boy he was. Pity the man he became. But forgiveness doesn't mean escape from consequences. He must face justice. Even if it means life in prison. Especially then. Prison might save whatever soul remains. Running only feeds the disease. My phone buzzed. Text from unknown number. I showed Harrison. Brave performance, sis. But performances end. Reality remains. Check your email. Harrison's tech team traced while I accessed my secured email. A single message with attachments. Photos. Our family through the years but corrupted. Surveillance shots from hidden cameras, private moments violated, and worse, fabricated images. Technology merging truth with lies. Deep fakes, Patricia identified. He's creating compromising material that never existed. Can you prove they're fake? Chloe worried. Eventually, but damage spreads faster than debunking. Then we don't debunk, I decided. We dismiss, make his desperation obvious. I returned to the podium. Marcus just sent manipulated images, fake compromising photos created by AI. When truth didn't serve his purpose, he manufactured lies. This is what criminals do when cornered. They lash out, fabricate, destroy what they can't possess. But pixels aren't power. Truth is. And the truth is, Marcus Morrison is a desperate fugitive creating digital fiction because reality has turned against him. How do we know what's real versus fake? A tech reporter asked. You don't. That's his goal. Chaos through uncertainty. But courts require evidence, verification, authentication. His digital tantrums are noise, not proof. The press conference continued, but I felt the shift. From sensational story to human truth. From family shame to family strength. Marcus thought exposure was his weapon. Instead, it became our testimony. Proof that surviving trauma doesn't mean hiding it. That criminals can wound but not destroy those who refuse to be victims. As we concluded, Harrison pulled me aside. Canadian Border Patrol thinks they spotted him, following up. He won't go to Canada. Too obvious. Where then? I thought about my brother, his patterns, his pride. Somewhere he thinks he owns. Somewhere that feeds his ego. The estate, we have agents. No, somewhere else, connected to Mom. Understanding dawned. The cemetery. He needs to gloat, to tell her he won. That's where he'll go. That's insane. That's Marcus, brilliant but broken. He can't leave without claiming victory over her ghost. Harrison mobilized units while we extracted ourselves from reporters. The family phoenix had risen from ashes of exposure, now to catch the arsonist who'd lit the fire. You did it, Patricia told us as we left. Turned his weapons into your strength. We survived it, I corrected. Strength comes next. What's next? Sarah asked. We catch him, try him, convict him, then rebuild without him. Think he's really at the cemetery? James wondered. He's there, performing for the only audience that ever mattered, the mother he helped destroy. We drove toward the cemetery, federal convoys following, the final confrontation approaching. Marcus would stand at Mom's grave claiming victory over her values. He didn't know her children had become her vengeance, truth her weapon, justice her legacy. The golden child's last performance was about to end where our family tragedy began, at the grave of the woman who'd loved him despite seeing what he'd become. Time to bring Marcus home, not to the house he'd tried to steal, but to the cell he'd earned, and maybe finally to the peace that comes from facing truth without performance. The phoenix had risen, now to cage the fire starter before he burned again. We arrived at Fairview Cemetery as storm clouds gathered, lending drama to an already theatrical moment. FBI vehicles surrounded the perimeter while we approached Mom's grave in a tight formation. Harrison had wanted us to wait, but I knew my brother. His ego demanded an audience, especially family. Marcus stood exactly where I'd predicted, his back to us, speaking to Mom's headstone. Designer suit immaculate despite his fugitive status. The golden child still performing even now. 20 years, Mother. His voice carried on the wind. 20 years of building what you never could. An empire, a legacy, real power. Marcus, Dad called out. My brother didn't turn. The cavalry arrives. Tell me, Dad, did you enjoy your public confession admitting weakness to the world? I admitted humanity. There's a difference. Semantics. You showed them you're broken, pathetic. Everything Richard said you were. Richard's dead. I stepped closer. His poison doesn't have to be your voice anymore. Marcus finally turned. His face shocked me. Gaunt, exhausted eyes burning with manic energy. The successful businessman mask had slipped, revealing the desperate criminal beneath. Still trying to save me, Gillian, even after everything? Trying to stop you. Salvation's your choice. He laughed, the sound sharp and wrong. Salvation, redemption, Mom's favorite words. Look where they got her. He gestured to the grave, 6 feet under, destroyed by truth she couldn't face. Murdered by your father, Sarah corrected. We know about the poison, the slow killing. Murdered, suicide, details. She's dead either way. And you helped, James accused, covering for Richard, tormenting her with betrayals. I survived. In this family, that's an achievement. Federal agents moved into position, but Harrison held them back. This needed to play out. Marcus needed to hang himself with words, not force. You know what I found fascinating? Marcus continued, pulling something from his pocket. Mom left letters, hidden everywhere, including one for me. My breath caught. Patricia had mentioned letters, but we hadn't found them all. Want to hear what she wrote to her precious Marcus, her corrupted son? Don't, Dad warned. Those words were private. Nothing's private in this family. You taught me that with your public confessions. He unfolded aged paper with theatrical reverence. My dearest Marcus. He read in cruel mimicry of Mom's voice. By the time you find this, I'll be gone, but my love remains. Stop, Chloe pleaded. I know what Richard has done to you. The poison he's fed your soul. I failed to protect you from him, and that failure haunts me more than my own approaching death. His voice cracked slightly, humanity peeking through before he crushed it. But I also know the boy you were, kind, protective, the child who shared his Halloween candy with siblings, who read stories to baby Chloe. That boy still exists beneath Richard's corruption. She was right, I said quietly. He existed. We saw glimpses. Glimpses of weakness, Marcus snarled. Moments Richard beat out of me. He continued reading. I'm leaving you a choice, my son. Continue on Richard's path and destroy everything beautiful in your life. Or remember love. Choose family. Find your way home. The money, the power, the golden throne Richard promised. They're illusions. Only connection matters. Only truth heals. Only love lasts. Marcus crumpled the letter. Pathetic. Even dying, she clung to delusions. Love connection. Where were those when she swallowed pills? In that letter, Dad said firmly, in her final attempt to save you. Save me. Marcus pulled out more letters. She wrote to everyone. Want to hear Patricia's full of apologies for trusting her with evidence, or Sarah's begging forgiveness for not protecting her from grief. Those aren't yours to share. Patricia stepped forward. Everything's mine to share. I own this family's secrets. He held up another envelope. James, she worried your music would suffer from sadness. Chloe, she feared you'd lose your joy. Dad, she forgave your weakness and begged you to be stronger. And Gillian. His eyes found mine. Perfect Gillian got the longest letter. Want to know why? I stayed silent. Because she knew you'd be the one, the family defender, the truth bringer, the daughter who'd stop the son. He produced my letter sealed for 20 years. Should we read it together? See what prophecies Mom left? Give it to me, I said simply. Come get it. I walked forward slowly, agents tensing. But this wasn't about physical confrontation. This was about choices. Mom's final gifts. You know what the saddest part is? I asked as I approached. She loved you most. Despite everything, knowing everything, she loved you most. Lies. Truth. Why else write to you first? Why else keep hoping until her last breath? I reached for the letter. He didn't pull back. Because she was weak, he said, but uncertainty colored his voice. Because she was strong, strong enough to love the unlovable, to hope for the lost, to believe in redemption even for Richard Brennan's son. I am Richard's son. You're also her son, Dad's son, our brother. That matters too. For a moment, something shifted in his eyes. The boy Mom remembered flickering through. Then his phone buzzed, breaking the spell. He glanced at it and smiled. Touching moment, but my ride's here. A helicopter appeared over tree lines, approaching fast. Did you really think I'd stand here without an exit strategy? He backed toward the landing zone. Enjoy your letters. Enjoy your victory. Enjoy your poverty. Marcus, please, Sarah called out. It doesn't have to end like this. It ended 20 years ago. You just refused to see it. The helicopter descended wind-scattering leaves across Mom's grave. Federal agents moved, but Marcus held up a device. Insurance, he shouted over rotor noise. Dead man switch. I release my thumb, every Morrison family document hits the internet. Tax returns, medical records, everything. You'd destroy us even in escape, Dad asked. I'd ensure mutually assured destruction. Back off or burn with me. The helicopter touched down, door opening, escape yards away. That's when Patricia surprised everyone. Elizabeth knew you'd run. Marcus paused. She knew you'd choose Richard's path, so she prepared something special. Check your accounts, nephew. All of them. Marcus fumbled for his phone, keeping the dead man switch active. His face went white. What did you do? Not me, your mother. 20 years ago, she embedded a virus in the founding documents of every shell company you'd create, dormant until activated by specific triggers. Impossible. Technology didn't... She didn't use technology. She used law, sunset clauses, self-destruct provisions, hidden in the legal language Richard taught you to exploit. You're lying. Check again. Every account, every haven, every carefully hoarded dollar. Marcus's phone showed the truth. Accounts zeroing out, transfers reversing, 20 years of stolen wealth evaporating. She knew, Patricia continued, that you'd build on Richard's foundation, so she made that foundation poison, took her own life to activate clauses requiring her death certificate. The suicide wasn't just despair, I realized. It was a trigger. A 20-year time bomb, Patricia confirmed, designed to detonate when Marcus felt safest. Marcus stared at his phone in horror, his empire crumbling in real time, the golden throne collapsing to dust. She destroyed me from the grave. She saved you, Dad corrected. Removed the temptation. Forced the choice she always wanted you to make. Without money, you're just Marcus, I added. Our brother. Not Richard's creation. The helicopter pilot gestured urgently. Time running out, FBI closing in. Marcus looked at us, his family, the people he'd terrorized and betrayed but who still stood here, still hoping. Then he looked at the helicopter. Freedom. Empty freedom, but freedom nonetheless. You want me to choose family over escape? He laughed bitterly. After everything I've done... We want you to choose yourself over Richard, James said. The person over the performance. That person died with Mom. That person wrote Halloween candy shares into his will at age 9, Chloe reminded him. I found the document in Mom's papers. You wanted to make sure we'd never run out of candy. Something broke in Marcus's expression, the mask finally cracking completely. I can't, he whispered. I've gone too far, done too much. Prison isn't death, I urged. It's consequence, but also possibility. Chance to find who you are without Richard's voice. 20 years minimum, maybe life. 20 years to remember the boy Mom loved, to honor the mother we failed. The helicopter pilot made a final gesture, now or never. Marcus stood at the crossroads. The dead man's switch trembled in his hand. One choice destroyed his family's privacy. The other destroyed his freedom. Mom, he said to the gravestone, you won. Even dead you won. Then he did something unexpected. He walked to her grave and placed his hand on the stone, the gesture of a son saying goodbye, or hello, or sorry. The helicopter lifted off without him. Federal agents moved in carefully, mindful of the switch, but Marcus simply handed it to Harrison. "It's fake," he admitted. "The switch, the documents, all performance. I destroyed everything compromising months ago. Even I have limits." "You threatened us with nothing," Sarah gasped. "I threatened you with fear. Usually that's enough." They cuffed him gently, almost respectfully, the golden child submitting to justice at his mother's grave. "The letters," he said to me as they led him away. "Read them, all of them. She saw this ending, planned for it. The suicide was just the first move in a 20-year chess match. Against Richard. For us. Everything she did was for us, even dying." They put him in the transport. Through the window, I saw him looking back at Mom's grave. No longer the golden child, just a broken man beginning to understand the weight of a mother's love. We stood in silence after they left. 5 siblings around their mother's grave, holding letters written in hope and sealed in despair. "Should we read them?" Chloe asked. "Together," Dad decided, as she intended. We sat on the grass, uncaring about expensive clothes or approaching rain. One by one, we opened Mom's final words. Each letter was different yet connected. Pieces of a puzzle she'd left for us to solve. Together, they revealed the truth. She'd known about Marcus's corruption, Richard's evil, our family's trajectory. But rather than despair, she'd chosen strategic hope. Planted seeds in law and love that would bloom when needed most. "She saved us," James marveled. "Even in death, she saved us." She saved Marcus too, I realized. Forced him to face himself without money's shield. "Think he'll survive prison," Sarah worried. "He'll survive," Dad said firmly, "and maybe finally heal. Without performance, without pressure. Just Marcus facing truth." The rain began gentle at first. We gathered the letters, precious evidence of a mother's endless love. As we walked back to the cars, I looked back at her grave. The headstone read, "Elizabeth Morrison, beloved wife and mother, truth in love." 20 years later, we finally understood what that meant. 3 months after Marcus's arrest, the federal courthouse in New Haven became the stage for the final act of our family tragedy. Media lined the steps while protesters demanded justice for elderly victims. Inside, 24 of Marcus's victims filled gallery rows, their faces mixing hope with weathered pain. I sat at the prosecution table as the lead witness, my family behind me, in the first row. Across the aisle, Marcus appeared diminished in his orange jumpsuit. The designer suits were gone, the golden boy swagger replaced by something I hadn't seen before. Acceptance. "All rise," the bailiff announced, the Honorable Judge Catherine Walsh presiding. Judge Walsh, no relation to Agent Walsh, had a reputation for fairness tempered by steel. She'd overseen financial crime cases for 2 decades, seen every excuse and manipulation. Marcus would find no sympathy here. "We're here for sentencing in United States versus Marcus Morrison," she began. "The defendant has pled guilty to 47 counts of wire fraud money, laundering, elder abuse, and racketeering. The plea agreement recommends 20 to 25 years. However, I'll hear victim impact statements before deciding." One by one, Marcus's victims approached the podium. Mrs. Patterson, no longer eating cat food but still struggling, spoke of retirement dreams destroyed. Mr. Kim described grandchildren who couldn't attend college because their futures were stolen. Each story added weight to the scale of justice. "I trusted him," Eleanor Chen said through tears. "Not because of his promises, but because of his family. The Morrison name meant integrity in our community. He perverted that legacy for greed." Marcus sat straighter with each testimony, finally hearing the voices he'd silenced with schemes and lies. No longer numbers in accounts, but humans with hearts he'd broken. When victims finished, the prosecutor called me forward. "Ms. Morrison, as both family member and key witness, please share your perspective." I approached the podium, meeting Marcus's eyes briefly. What I saw there surprised me. Not defiance or hatred, but something approaching remorse. Your Honor, Marcus Morrison is my brother. For 20 years, I watched him transform from a kind child into a criminal. That transformation wasn't natural. It was engineered by Richard Brennan, who groomed him from adolescence. However, explanation is an excuse. Marcus chose to continue Richard's legacy, chose to steal, lie, destroy. Every victim who spoke represents a choice he made against conscience. I pulled out a document. This is a letter our mother wrote before her death. She predicted this moment. Wrote, "If you're reading this in court, then Marcus has fallen completely. But remember, even fallen angels were once angels. Justice must be served, but let mercy temper judgment. Prison might save the soul money corrupted." The prosecution requests the full 25 years. I continued, not from vengeance, but from hope. Hope that separated from temptation, Marcus might rediscover his humanity. Hope that victims see justice served. Hope that other potential predators see consequence is real. I returned to my seat. The defense attorney, a public defender since Marcus's money had vanished, made obligatory arguments about cooperation and remorse. Then came the surprise. Your Honor. The defender announced Mr. Morrison wishes to address the court. Murmurs rippled through the gallery. Defendants rarely spoke at sentencing, especially in financial crimes. Too much risk, too little gain. Marcus stood slowly, chains clanking. The sound seemed to emphasize how far he'd fallen from boardrooms and BMWs. Your Honor, he began, voice steady but subdued. I've spent 3 months in custody reading every victim's statement, studying every loss I caused. For the first time in 20 years, I see clearly. He turned to the gallery. Mrs. Patterson, you trusted me because you taught with my father, shared lunches, compared grandchildren photos. I saw that trust and computed its monetary value. I'm sorry. The word feels pathetically small, but it's true. Mr. Kim, your granddaughter Lisa, wanted to be a doctor. I stole that dream for a boat I used twice. No sentence can restore her future, but I'll spend mine trying to earn forgiveness I don't deserve. One by one, he addressed victims by name, personal details that showed he'd finally seen them as people, not prey. Some cried, others glared. Eleanor Chen simply nodded, acknowledging words 2 decades too late. To my family, he turned to us, I terrorized you, surveilled you, tried to destroy you when you exposed me. You offered love, I returned it with theft. You offered redemption, I chose revenge. His voice cracked. Mom saw what I was becoming, tried to save me. I helped drive her to death rather than listen. That's my true crime. The money just kept score. Your Honor, I request the maximum sentence. Not because the prosecutor demands it, but because I need it. 25 years to excavate the person Richard buried, to find the boy who shared Halloween candy, to honor the mother I failed. Some crimes can't be undone, some trust can't be rebuilt, but maybe given time and bars and truth, something human can grow from the wreckage I created. He sat down, the courtroom held its breath. Judge Walsh reviewed papers, her expression unreadable. Mr. Morrison, your statement shows either genuine remorse or masterful manipulation. Given your history, distinguishing between them seems impossible. However, actions matter more than words. You've cooperated fully, revealed hidden accounts, testified against co-conspirators. The Brennan network is dismantled largely due to your assistance. But cooperation born from self-interest isn't nobility, it's strategy. And your victims deserve more than strategic sorrow. She looked at the gallery. The elderly are society's treasures. They've earned peace, security, dignity. You stole all 3. Perverted family trust for personal gain. Corrupted your father's reputation, built over 40 teaching years. I sentence you to 25 years federal custody. No parole eligibility for 20. You'll serve time at Otisville Correctional, where you'll participate in financial rehabilitation programs, teaching inmates financial literacy. Perhaps educating others will remind you what education meant before you weaponized it. Additionally, any future earnings beyond basic necessities go to victim restitution. Write a book, proceeds to victims, paid interviews, victims. You'll live modestly while repaying lavishly. Mr. Morrison, you spoke of finding the boy who shared candy. I hope you do. But hope doesn't reduce consequence. 25 years. Court dismissed. The gavel fell with finality. Marshals moved to escort Marcus out. He looked back once, meeting each family member's gaze. "Thank you," he mouthed silently. Then he was gone. The courtroom erupted in subdued celebration. Victims hugged, prosecutors shook hands, justice served even if healing would take longer. Outside, media swarmed. I gave a brief statement about closure and consequences while my family slipped away. We'd played our parts. Now came the harder task, living without the golden child's shadow. That evening, we gathered at the house Marcus had tried to steal. Dad cooked Mom's recipes while we shared memories untainted by recent horrors. Stories of young Marcus teaching James guitar chords, helping Sarah with math homework, building blanket forts with Chloe. "Think he meant it?" Sarah asked. "The apology." "Does it matter?" James countered. "He's gone either way." "It matters," Dad said firmly. "Real remorse means possibility. Maybe in 25 years we'll have a brother worth knowing." "You'd forgive him?" Chloe seemed incredulous. "I'd consider it. Your mother believed in redemption, even wrote it into her final chess moves." Patricia had spent weeks analyzing Mom's legal maneuvers, the sunset clauses that destroyed Marcus's empire, the trust structures protecting our assets, the evidence preserved for this exact moment. She orchestrated justice from beyond, Patricia marveled. Knew law better than most lawyers. She knew her son, I corrected, knew what would save and damn him, chose both. We toasted Mom's memory with her favorite wine. The woman who'd seemed fragile had proved strongest. The suicide that appeared surrender was actually strategy. The mother who'd died broken had broken her son's corruption from the grave. To Elizabeth Morrison. Dad raised his glass, wife, mother, and apparently grandmaster chess player. To Mom, we echoed. Later I stood in her garden. The roses bloomed impossibly bright for late winter, as if celebrating justice served. I thought about Marcus in his cell beginning a quarter-century journey back to himself. "You won, Mom," I whispered to the flowers. "Saved us all, even him eventually. Hope you're finally at peace." A butterfly landed on a rose wings catching moonlight. Beautiful, fragile, transformative. Like the justice we'd fought to achieve, like the family we'd fought to preserve. The golden child was gone. The family remained, scarred but stronger, tested but together. And somewhere in federal custody, a fallen son began the long climb back to the light his mother never stopped believing he'd find. Justice served, mercy offered, truth triumphant. The Morrison family tragedy had ended. The Morrison family healing could finally begin. 1 year later, we gathered in the same dining room where Marcus had announced his plans to steal our home. But today, sunlight streamed through windows that had once framed federal agents, and the table that had held evidence boxes now overflowed with architectural plans and hope. The Elizabeth Morrison Center for Financial Recovery. Sarah read from the blueprint header. Mom would have loved this. The house had been transformed but not sold. The East Wing now housed therapy rooms for fraud victims. The basement Marcus had used to terrorize us became a computer lab for financial literacy classes. Mom's garden remained untouched, a sanctuary amid services. First clients start Monday. I announced reviewing schedules. 43 of Marcus's victims have enrolled in free counseling and financial planning. Mrs. Patterson's teaching a budgeting class, James added, turning her struggle into strength for others. Dad emerged from the kitchen carrying Mom's coffee pot, now serving volunteers, instead of family alone. At 71, he moved with renewed purpose, no longer the broken man Marcus had tried to destroy. Who would have thought, he mused, that our house of secrets would become a house of healing? Through the window, I saw Patricia directing contractors finishing the memorial wall. Each brass plate bore a victim's name, not in shame, but in solidarity. Marcus's crimes had created an unexpected community. Letter from Marcus, Chloe announced, holding up an envelope from the morning mail. We'd been receiving them monthly. His handwriting had changed from aggressive slashes to careful curves, as if he was relearning how to communicate without manipulation. Should we read it? Sarah asked. Today of all days. Today marked the anniversary of Mom's death. 21 years since she'd swallowed pills to trigger the legal mechanisms that would eventually save us all. She'd want us to, Dad decided. Redemption includes acknowledgement. Chloe opened the letter, reading aloud. Dear family, today I'm teaching fellow inmates about predatory lending. Ironic the expert thief warning about thieves. But maybe that's the point. Who better to spot a con than a former con artist? I've been assigned a job in the prison library, surrounded by books Mom would have loved. Found myself reading poetry yesterday. William Blake. Without contraries is no progression. Made me think about us. How destruction preceded reconstruction. Mrs. Patterson wrote me, "Can you imagine the woman I reduced to eating cat food offering forgiveness? Said Mom visited her in dreams, insisted on mercy. I don't deserve it, but I'm learning to accept grace I haven't earned. The money's gone, but memories remain. Not the bitter ones I nursed for decades, but older ones. Deeper ones. Teaching Chloe to ride a bike. Helping James write his first song. Sarah's pride when she solved that impossible math problem. Gillian defending me from playground bullies before I became one myself. 24 years left. Sometimes feels like forever. Sometimes like not enough. How long to excavate a soul? How many years to rebuild what greed destroyed? I'm sending something else. Found it hidden in my cell by the previous occupant. Seems appropriate. Use it, however, helps most. Still unworthy, but working on it, Marcus. Inside the envelope was a check. Modest but meaningful. His prison earnings for the year. Every cent he could spare beyond basic needs. He's trying, Chloe said softly. Trying's a start. I agreed. Change takes time. A knock interrupted. Agent Walsh, Jennifer now having returned to her real name after the trial, entered carrying boxes. Final evidence release, she announced. FBI's closed all related cases. These are personal items from Marcus's office. We'd avoided dealing with his possessions, the detritus of a criminal life, but closure required confronting even painful remnants. I'll help sort, Jennifer offered. Least I can do after everything. She'd become an unexpected ally. Her undercover work had traumatized her too, living Marcus's lies for 3 years. She attended therapy at the center, transforming from perpetrator to survivor. We opened boxes carefully. Most contained what we'd expected: fraudulent documents, expensive trinkets, evidence of excess. But at the bottom of the last box, wrapped in Mom's scarf, we found treasure. Family videos, James breathed, holding up old tapes. I thought these were destroyed. Marcus saved them. Sarah seemed stunned. Hidden in his private safe, Jennifer confirmed. Behind millions in bearer bonds. He valued these more than money. We set up Mom's old VCR technology creaking to life. The first tape showed Christmas 1995. Mom alive, radiant, directing our chaos with laughing authority. Marcus, help your sisters with the cookies, her voice commanded across decades. Young Marcus maybe ate carefully guided toddler Chloe's hands to place chocolate chips. No trace of the criminal he'd become. Just a big brother taking responsibility seriously. He was good once, Dad said quietly, before Richard's poison. More tapes revealed more truth. Birthday parties where Marcus ensured everyone got equal attention. family vacations where he carried tired siblings, school plays where he cheered loudest for our small triumphs. Look, Patricia pointed to background details. Richard's always there, watching, waiting. She was right. In video after video, Richard Brennan lurked at edges, the family friend who was actually family predator, documenting planning, corrupting. He stole our brother, James said with fresh anger, slowly, deliberately, while we watched unknowing. But Marcus kept these videos, I noted. Even while becoming Richard's creature, he preserved evidence of who he'd been. Part of him always remembered, Dad agreed. The boy Mom loved never fully died, just got buried deep. The final tape was different. Handheld shaky, dated a week before Mom's death. She spoke directly to the camera Marcus filming. For my children, she began already gaunt from illness. All my children, including the one behind the camera. Marcus's young voice, Mom, you should rest. Rest comes soon enough. First truth. I'm dying, we all know it, but death isn't ending. It's transformation. She looked directly at us across 21 years. This house will become something beautiful. My children will become something powerful. Even tragedy serves purpose if met with love. Marcus, my firstborn, my heartbreak. You'll fall far before rising, but you'll rise. I've arranged it. Legal mechanisms, financial triggers, patience and pain leading to redemption. Gillian, my warrior, you'll save them. Cost will be high, rewards higher. Trust the law and trust yourself. Sarah James Chloe, you'll discover strength through suffering, support each other, forgive eventually, heal definitely. Thomas, my love, live fully. Find joy after grief. Our children need father and mother, even if I provide the latter posthumously. She smiled, peace radiating despite approaching death. I go willingly to whatever comes next, not from despair but from strategy. Richard thinks he's won. Marcus believes he's triumphed. Both wrong. Love plays a longer game than greed. Save this tape, Marcus. Hide it deep. Someday you'll need reminder of who you were, who you can become again. I love you. Disappointed but never despairing. Mother forever, regardless of choices. The recording ended. We sat in stunned silence, processing prophecy fulfilled 2 decades later. She knew everything, Sarah whispered, planned everything. Even the center, Chloe gestured to our transformed home. Especially the center, I realized, turning our house of pain into palace of healing. Classic Mom. Dad wiped his eyes. She got her wish. We're together, helping others. Even Marcus is finding his way back. 24 years to go, James calculated. He'll be 65 when released. We'll be here, Dad said firmly. Changed but constant. His family, if he'll have us. He'll have us, I knew. The boy who saved those tapes will find his way home. A car arrived outside, more victims coming for orientation at the center. As we prepared to greet them, I paused at Mom's portrait. Thank you, I whispered, for seeing the ending when we could only see pain, for playing chess with destiny and winning. Patricia joined me. Think she knew how completely her plan would work. She knew us, our strengths, weaknesses, potentials, built a framework for justice that required our participation but guaranteed success. Grandmaster indeed, Patricia agreed. The doorbell rang. Mrs. Patterson entered with a nervous couple, clearly new victims seeking help. Dad greeted them warmly, the teacher becoming counselor. Sarah offered comfort from shared experience. James provided gentle humor. Chloe showed them Mom's garden, explaining how beauty persists despite storms. And I did what I'd always done, protected, but now through building rather than battling, through healing rather than hunting, through love rather than law alone. Welcome to the Morrison Center, I told the couple, where families rebuild after betrayal, where truth brings freedom, where even thieves' victims find victory. They looked hopeful despite their pain. Another family starting the journey we'd completed, from betrayal to bewilderment to breakthrough. The phone rang. Marcus's prison number on caller ID. We'd arranged a family call for Mom's anniversary. "Hello, Marcus," I said, putting him on speaker. "Hello, family." His voice came through different now, humbled, human. "Are you at the house?" "At the center," I corrected. "Your former crime scene, now our construction site." "Good, that's good. Mom would approve." "Mom orchestrated it from the grave," Dad added. "As you know." "I know. Found her last letter today, hidden in library law books. Apparently she had admirers among prison librarians, ensured certain books would be shelved for me to find." "What did it say?" Sarah asked. "Time plus truth equals transformation. Serve both. Love waits." Simple words carrying infinite weight. The mother who died to save us still saving from beyond. "We love you, Marcus," Chloe said suddenly. "Despite everything, because of everything. Love waits." Silence. Then soft crying. The golden child's tears finally flowing freely. 24 years, he managed. "Will you still be there?" "We'll be here, we promise together. Family waits too." The call ended. We returned to our work, greeting victims, planning programs, rebuilding lives. The Morrison Center buzzed with purpose, born from pain. As evening approached, we gathered in Mom's garden. Her roses bloomed impossibly bright, fed by truth and watered by tears. 5 siblings and an aunt bonded by tragedy, but defined by triumph. "To second chances," Dad raised his coffee cup. "To justice served," I added. Behind us, the house that had sheltered secrets now shared solutions. Before us, futures stretched bright with possibility. And somewhere in federal custody, a prodigal son counted days until return. The golden child had fallen. The family had risen, and in between, love had never stopped working its patient magic. "Do you ever wonder," Dad asked as stars appeared, "what Mom would think of all this?" I smiled, remembering her final video words. She'd say it went exactly as planned. And looking at my family, scarred but strong, tested but together, I knew she was right. The mother who'd seemed to lose everything had actually won it all. Just took 21 years and tremendous pain to claim the victory she'd arranged. The Morrison story wasn't tragedy after all. It was transformation, and it was far from over. In 24 years, we'd welcome Marcus home. Until then, we'd build the foundation for his return. One victim helped, one truth told, one day survived. If you've experienced financial fraud or family betrayal, you're not alone. Share your story in the comments. How did you rebuild? What helped you heal? Sometimes the first step to recovery is knowing others have walked this path before you. If this story touched you, please like and subscribe to hear more stories of families finding strength through struggle. Share with anyone who needs a reminder that love can outlast even the deepest betrayals. Thank you for joining the Morrison family's journey from destruction to redemption. Remember, every ending can become a new beginning. Every tragedy can transform into triumph. Every broken family can choose to rebuild. Until next time, hold your loved ones close. Truth and time really do heal all wounds, even the ones we never thought would stop bleeding.